Round 9, Georgia Dome. Chad Reed shocked the Supercross industry by becoming the 5th different winner in 8 weeks. You know it's coming. Who's next? Last week, the 250 East racers put on one of the best races of the year. Martin, Muskin, and Bogle battling it out in the final laps. Jeremy Martin landed his first win of the season, but is Justin Bogle on his way to red plate redemption? Reed, Dungey, Canard, all have eyes on winning the Duel in the Dome. Who's gonna rock the Dome tonight? Hello everyone, welcome to Race Day Live on supercrosslive.com. We are officially in the second half of the series for round 9 in the Georgia Dome. Time to complete the Duel in the Dome. Round 9 of the 2015 Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship. It's throwback night, Jim. The electricity's in the air. Hello everyone, I'm Andy Boyer, your host. Beside me is Jim Hollywood Holly, Supercross legend. Welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be here, and as we see it, you talked about that retro night. Alex Moros was kind enough to lend us a motorcycle for our set, but an old KX 500 two-stroke. You remember those, Andy?
Oh yeah,
those were beasts back in the day.
That thing's still a beast right now. I guarantee you, if you could, kick that thing up and got out on the track somewhere, they would get around the track pretty good.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, when you were talking about the Open with Chad Reed, I mean, 44 wins for Chad Reed in his career, and something interesting, he's tied now with Michael Arauco with 146 top 5 finishes for both of those guys, and I'm sure Reed's going to be in the top 5. A lot of people counting on him to be the first rider to go back-to-back this year in 2015.
Yeah, here on Throwback Night. We got a throwback track, we got throwback graphics, we got gear that looks old school. Me and Jim have a couple tricks up our sleeve later in the show we'll take a look at, but look what the teams have done, Jim. I mean, look at that Yamaha. That's what you used to ride, man.
Yeah, I think Weston Pike, actually I'm going to go back a little earlier. I rode a yellow one, and then they went to, in 85, they went to that white and red there, but that's Weston's Pike Toyota JGR Auto Trader bike, and we're going to see that's Chad Reed's employee and
Josh
his teammate,
Grant,
Josh Grant there.
With a 1993 KX 250 scheme, like Mike Kudrowski raced with.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
really cool, man.
Yeah.
We talked to Chad a little bit about the thought process that went into it, and you'll hear that interview later, but those bikes are so cool, and that's my favorite one right there. The old school Yamaha, Kenny Roberts, Jim Holly, of course.
Yeah, well, that kind of reminds me with the number 6, Brock Glover, when he rode the 490s back in the day when they were that color. Brock was number 6 in the 500 Nationals there, but just a great job that the Star Racing Yamaloop team put together with, Jeremy Martin's bike there. And he won here last weekend, so maybe he can do it back-to-back here in the Georgia Dome.
Yeah, everybody's talking about Martin, Oh, and then look at this stuff right here. The old Bradshaw, 1990s Fox gear that Marvin Muskin and Ryan Dungey are wearing. That stuff's really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoy, the teams that get involved in this, and the Feld Motorsports people say, look, we're going to go to throwback. It's a lot of work to have the graphic companies come up with the graphics and the gear manufacturers, but I think it adds an element. I really know that the fans really appreciate it, when they come here, and if you can get one of those throwback jerseys in today's era, that's huge for a fan.
Yeah, and the fans themselves, I think, know it's retro night, or throwback night. We're going to see some fun stuff. I've already saw some afros out on track walk. And, speaking about the track, it looks really good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Kawasaki track map.
Well, something different you're going to see here in the starting line. Last weekend it was a long starting line. This weekend it's just going side to side. The gate drops here. You're going to race into that first turn. It's a nice sweeping left-hander. Hopefully you can pick up some money from supercrosslive.com for that whole shot. This timing section here, there's the over and under. This is a throwback section here where you go up and over and turn around. This is all sand. It's a sand 180. Then you do this double here. You're going to make a right-hander, step on, step off. But something different here as you come out of the left-hander.
Yeah, right, Jim. Sometimes they have to change stuff from press A, and there's a triple there out of that corner that leads you right into the next left-hander into this section.
Yeah, this section's cool because if you can get this triple single in here, it's going to be hard to do it right out of here. It's going to be another little triple single before that 65-foot triple. Another left-hander. Look for a lot of passing going on here. drag him back here. If you can jump off that and clear one and just single in, round that. Here you're gonna come into a nice set of whoops, unlike
Big
we
whoops.
had last weekend, but they're big. One lane only, another right-hander up and over the Monster Energy finish line. This is another sand section. Out of this left-hander, you're gonna have a few humps and bumps going into back onto the start line straightaway there, but look for that sand to carry over into that. And as we saw in the free practice, we saw a lot of riders after they come up and over that over and under, they're losing the front end. I mean, we saw the Lobo, Jason Anderson go down. We saw Weston Pike go down there. Savachi was down. It's very hard because on the landing, you immediately got to get on the brakes and then you hit that sand and these guys are washing the front ends.
Yeah, it's tough. It's, you know, just like it was in the 90s. We got a huge show for you folks today. We have some outstanding guests. We have Mark Harston with MMI. He's going to join us here on the show. One of our sponsors, a great guy. The MMI program has really been cool this year. We have the MMI Top Tech mechanics and stuff, and those guys are all graduates most of the time. And coming up after him, we're going to have Barrett Saleh with the Bleacher Report. Huge fan of Supercross. Says here he's been 20 years in a row to the Atlanta Supercross.
Well, and he does a great job, and he's got a great interview with Trey Canard. We'll have to ask him when he comes up on the show.
And a special guest, you know, we're going to have Miss Elena Myers from AMA Superbike Racing. Very cool story. It's going to coincide with Vicki Golden and her effort to try to make it to a night show. Elena Myers is the only female that's won a motorsport event at the Daytona Superspeedway. Can't wait to have her on. She's going to be great. And then, you know, speaking of Daytona, we have a NASCAR guy that's going to come join us on the show, Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney's come up through the ranks. You know, his dad, Dave Blaney, was a sprint car driver. He's with the number 21 Wood Brothers team. Just competed in the Daytona 500 last weekend. Going to be interesting to talk to Ryan.
Yeah, I want to ask him about Buddy Baker because Buddy Baker used to drive for the Woods Brothers back in the day. And he's got number 21. Maybe he's pulling for Jason Anderson on that Husky tonight.
And of course, you know, by popular demand, we're going to have Justin Brayton come up here and wrap up the show with us, we hope, at the end to talk about the A practices and give a pro perspective on what it's like getting around that track to be fast qualifier.
Yeah, we're going to have either DJ or Nathan maybe take a new photo of him with his new colors because he's still got the Yamaha Toyota team. He's on that BTO Sports KTM ride, but it'd be great to have him on. He did a great job last weekend.
Absolutely. You know, he wants to get back to racing, but he did such a good job with this, you know, and he was like, man, I'd like to come back on again. I was like, actually, we want you to come back on. So, yeah, it's going to be good to have Justin on here. Always fun to meet the personalities behind these racers and stuff. And, you know, speaking of that, we're going to have Behind the Dream again coming up tomorrow. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But let's just get to where we're at right now with Chad. You know, with Chad Reed in this throwback night and him winning on retro night a year ago, you know, he's got to be feeling pretty good.
Well, I mean, and we looked at it today, you know, we didn't see Chad Reed, you know, up on top of the leaderboard, but we did. But unfortunately, I think he finished third or fourth, but he was up there for a little while. We always talk about it, you know, when you win, you know, a race, you got a lot of confidence coming in. And I know he wants to do a lot of things. Tonight he's actually going to opening ceremonies ride a two-stroke. That interview you did with, I was surprised to hear that. But
me too.
Here you're looking at the points there, and you see Ryan Dungey with the point lead, 25 behind Trey Canard in that second spot, and then Kenny Roczen 31.
Tough weekend for him, last weekend.
Eli Tomac crashing last weekend. He is 59 behind, so Eli is clearly 2 races behind.
You know, what really sticks out to me there in the points is Jason Anderson, not to discredit them, Jason Anderson and Cole Seeley are 1 and 4 points behind Eli Tomac, who was supposed to be, you know, a favorite to win the championship. Dungey's got a big lead, but just as quickly as we saw Ken Roczen lose 13 points, that can happen to Ryan too.
Well, and you know, we were looking at it, we were talking off camera, you know, about that. You know, last weekend when we were here, we were opening the show, and we're talking about the show, and we look, Ryan Dungey's got a 12-point lead. Well, here now, he's got a 25-point lead in 1 week, so anything can happen. I mean, just, you know, Kenny had some bad week last week. Hopefully he can rebound. I talked to a lot of the guys down there, Kenny Watson and all the guys, and the mechanics, and they actually went down to Florida and did some riding down there and then brought their hauler back up here. So I think they had a great week of testing and riding. So look for Kenny Roczen to rebound.
Bounce back.
Yeah.
I agree, Jim. You know, and everything's different. What a difference a week makes. This track is 100% different than what we saw last week. They've watered it a lot more. I don't know if this one's going to dry out tonight, Jim, but those 2 interesting obstacles that we checked out with the awesome under and over bridge and those 2 sand pits, we took a pretty good look at those, so please enjoy me and Jim's track piece. Andy Boyer and Jim Hawley with Race Day Live. We're here at round 9 inside the Georgia Dome. It's throwback night, man. You know, back in the 90s and back in the 80s, they had the obstacle we're standing on right now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. You know, at Supercross, they implement this every once in a while with the throwback night we have here in Atlanta for the second time we're here, the Duel in the Dome. They brought back the over and under bridge, and what presents this is the sand after you land here, and you better land on the downside and not double bounce, because it's going to be hard to make that left-hander. Right out of there, you're going to come and you're going to hit another double into this right-hander, a little bit tighter course than we've seen in the previous round that we had last weekend on February 21st. But I think it's good, and I think there's going to be a lot of room for passing in here.
Well, you talk about it being tight. This under and over bridge kind of adds that dynamic, doesn't it? By putting it in the middle and allowing you to wrap around and go underneath it, it kind of gives the track more of a, you know, a more busy feel, does it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we always talk about how important the starts are going to be. I think this Atlanta, it's going to be a little bit more important because, but you know, on the other hand, I like tight courses. I mean, you can get in, you can move guys out of the way. You're going to have to make passing opportunities yourself. You can't wait for a guy to make a mistake. You might have to push him into one.
Well, this is just one of the cool things about this track on Throwback Night. We're going to go down and look in the sand. Now, there's a couple more parts about this track that are really interesting. We talked about the first sand section over there after the under and over bridge. Here's another sand section.
Well, the thing I like about this sand section is it's kind of after the Monster Energy finish line. You're going to drop over that. You got a sweeping left-hander. You got the Georgia red clay, and then you're going to come into this soft sand. It looks like it's, you know, a lot of people say all sand's the same. Well, that's not true. There's different types of sand. We got a fine sand here, so it's going to be hard to get traction. You got a couple rollers as you roll through the section, and then you got that left-hander back onto the starting line. Some of the sand's going to carry over into that. Guys braking, drag the sand up into there. So this could be a pretty tough section too.
Think there'll be some mistakes made through here?
Absolutely. I mean, last time we saw the sand, I got to go back to Oakland when Justin Hill was leading, and we talked about that sand. But that was a different type of sand, a little bit more coarser. This is a little bit more finer. Right. Back then in Oakland, it had a lot more deeper ruts and whoops in it. This one here, they're pretty small, but you never know. They could change things and make it a little bit bigger. Who knows?
Yeah, I agree, Jim. You know, he keeps talking about how this sand is, and it's like you said, it's really, really fine, and it's going to get worked into the dirt as the night goes on. A lot of things are going to change through here. It's just one part that makes this throwback track really awesome.
Well, and the other thing too, you got to make sure your goggle guys have got you plenty of tear-offs, because you get hit with a roost on this, man. It's like you're being sandblasted. You got to tear off, you know, take off the tear-offs there, and so that's going to present a problem. And you know, as well as I do, Randy, when we used to race, I mean, you know, anytime you got sand down your jersey and your pants, it's, you know, it's bothersome when you're out there for 20 laps in that main event.
It's Throwback Night, ladies and gentlemen. Track's going to be awesome. Hey, and welcome back to the Georgia Dome. The sand's already become a pretty big topic, just you know, in the infant stages of practice so far. A lot of people are picking themselves up there, Jim.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, the fact that you know, these guys aren't running sand tires, and that's a full-blown sand section out there. Yeah, the sand tire would work a lot better on the front. But, you know, that's only about 10% of the track, and you want to set your bike up for not 10% of the track, but 90% of it, obviously.
Yeah, it's just, and like we said, it's starting to work into the dirt a lot more. And that last section that you were talking about, I can see them right now with the tractors. They're smoothing it back out, but that sand's going to get worked into the dirt. It's going to get rough. It's going to really breed a lot of mistakes.
Well, and the other thing, too, is, you know, once that front end starts pushing, you go to grab a handful of throttle, and then the rear wheel starts spinning, and it's all downhill from there. You're going to be picking yourself up, and hopefully you keep that motorcycle running when you go down.
It's pretty cool. You know, I love the design of the track. It's a little tighter. The lap times in the last 2 or 3 weeks have dipped down into the 48s and the 47s. The lap times are back. This is a slower track, more technical. It's got more water in it. We're going to see ruts. Maybe some of the guys that are East Coast specialists, you know, that ride in the ruts a lot more often are going to shine this, you know, tonight.
Well, and you know, in that free practice, they time it, but it's not counted for your qualifying. But we see that in that 450 Group C, Robert Lind from Sweden, 106. We haven't seen him up on the top of that, but he loves the sand. I know he's from Sweden. He's probably having fun out there in the sand.
Well, we had some fun earlier. We were down on the track to get some interviews and talk to some of the guys who are going to be putting on a show tonight. Here they are. Andy Boyer with Race Day Live, presented by AMSOIL. We're here with Chad Reed. Hey, it's throwback night, man. Your bikes look killer. Whose idea was that?
It was actually Lars Lindstrom on our team, and sent me a picture of you know, my kid's bike from, I think, '93.
Yeah.
And right away I was into it just because, I mean, I had a KX60 just like that. So that was the era that I remember most. So yeah, it kind kind of had a meaning and something a little more special for me. And so yeah, we tried to make it happen as best we could.
Well, the more along the lines of the throwback stuff, you know, you've been riding a 2-stroke KX250. How the heck was that? Jumping triples on that thing or what?
No, I rode one last week on 125 actually. I just rode it on my outdoor track and can't believe how fast time has changed, you know. And I haven't rode a 250 2-stroke since end of '05, and I'm going to ride one tonight in opening ceremonies. But unfortunately, the team have kind of shut me down, which I signed their paychecks, but somehow they've shut me down. I wanted to do the triple and maybe blitz the whoops or something like that. But yeah, the lights are off, and obviously we got bigger fish to fry. And it would have been nice maybe last night if I could have got a little bit of time on the track, rode the bike, see if it's safe, and wind the clickers in, add a little oil or something like that. It's just a borrowed bike that Feld found for me this weekend. So
no air forks on that thing.
Well, not on my bike either. So I'm retro, I'm old. No air forks for me, but yeah, it would have been fun. I would have loved to have gone out there, and I had a text conversation back and forth with RC, and you know, obviously I know he's this weekend. I thought, man, it'd be so rad if both of us could go ride a 2-stroke this weekend and just have a little bit of fun, you know, maybe pre-opening ceremonies. But yeah, we couldn't make it, you know, make it work.
Well, what does work for you is this throwback thing. You know, last year it was retro night. You get the big win. You know, you win last weekend. It's the duel in the dome. It's retro night. When you're feeling good, you'll tweet bouncy. How you feeling?
I feel pretty bouncy. I mean, it's been a great week. Seems like when you win, it's a long week, you know, because you just want to get back to the races. But it was a long week, the long days, and we achieved. I think we made the bike a little better. Had my guys in Florida this week, and the goal is try to go out there and do what we did last week. Obviously, repeat.
Whole shot.
Whole shot's nice. Back-to-back win is really the goal right now. I mean, all else aside, it's been a long time. I think '09 that I've won back-to-back races. So. Yeah, win one, try to win two, and go from there.
Jim Holley, Race Day Live, presented by AMSA. Well, back-to-back, the duel in the dome. Martin Davalos, I thought you had your first of 2015 and for Husky. But at least you got $1,000 from supercrosslive.com. You're leading it all the way to that 9th lap and that step on, step off. I was watching you, you were doing it like a couple laps you'd do it, then you'd miss it, and a couple laps, then you'd miss it. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I got a great bike. You know, I got an awesome start, and yeah, I mean, that Dragon's back to the 3-on was definitely tough on me. You know, I felt like I was doing it pretty good in practice, but just kind of couldn't find the rhythm in the main event, and I feel like that's where I lost the race. If I would have kept it consistently, I don't think they would have caught me. Got a little tight, but, you know, obviously I have it from the last time I was running out front last year, you know, and the injuries is taking a lot out of me, and, you know, I'm excited to be up there, you know. I questioned myself to see if I was ever going to be good enough again, you know, but feel good this weekend. I'm excited to be at the Georgia Dome again. This is, again, like a home track for me, and, yeah, just excited.
Jim Holley, Race Day Live, presented by AMSOIL. Well, we always talk about the 3-digit privateer, guys, and Jeremy Huddleston, number 426, man, you are a true privateer. And what I mean by that is last weekend you drove from Dallas all the way to Atlanta. You drove back. I mean, you have a full-time job. It's hard out there.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. I put a big struggle on me. I didn't get here till 4 a.m. last week, and just got about 2 hours of sleep in the back of my truck. Actually, well, not the back truck, but, you know, inside the truck. It was all good. Then I came out for practice a little nervous and just a little tired, and, you know, just getting some of my nerves out and having fun with what I'm doing and enjoying, you know, being a privateer.
After the race, though, I mean, then you take off and you got to drive all the way back. You didn't get in until Sunday morning at 10 a.m., and then you had to go right to work.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I drove straight home after the night show. I got home probably 10:30 a.m. I did some things around the house for my parents. My mom's 50th birthday this weekend. Happy birthday, Mom. And, yeah, so I'm working full-time. I left Friday at about noon, so it's definitely tough, but it's definitely worth it to me.
There we go, folks. We are on track here at round 9 in the Georgia Dome. 250B group qualifying number 1. Like we were telling you, folks, the track's got some water in it, Jim.
Well, and you're looking to look at here, and you're going to see Jordan Smith making his debut in Supercross.
Right.
126 there, coming off of an injury. I had a chance to talk to him in Arlington, and he was showing me the fracture to his hand. It was a boxer's break, and he says, yeah, I'm going to miss you know, Arlington, I'm going to miss Atlanta, and I'm going to be there on the 28th. I go, really?
Yeah.
And here he is already out there on the track.
With a really good lap time, actually, from Jordan Smith there. A lot of height behind him. He has a ton of speed. His problem is staying off the ground. He's a rookie, though. He's going to try to ride and grow through that. It's going to be interesting to see how he jumps into the mix because he has so much speed.
Well, and the other thing that, you know, the Geico Honda team have dealt with that, with speed and getting out front and things, is Zach Bell when he was a rookie and he was on that team. So they're kind of trying to tell him, hey, don't make those rookie mistakes.
Stay off the ground. Here on your screen is Connor Elliott. He's all the way from Washington here. Looking good out there so far. Number 273 is sitting 6th place early on with 7 minutes to go in 250B group qualifying number 1.
Look at Owen, though, already breaking into the 59.9 there for Owen.
I was really impressed with Jace last weekend. Shows a lot of speed, very good riding style. Made it into the main event, you know, and you know, like Steve Mathis from Pulpit Next said last week in his column, that's a guy that should be in there in the top 10 every week.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he had a 9th last week, which is not bad, you know. But like you said, I know that he wants to be up there a little bit more than that 19.
Oh yeah, he can get in the top 10. He's got the speed, you know. Sometimes with these privateers, we talk about it from time to time. The difference in the machinery between the top 10 and the bottom half in the 250 class makes a huge difference. You got to have a good motor and a good suspension if you're going to compete with these guys. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to look at some of the other guys that we see down there. You know, I'm surprised to see Kyle Cunningham so far down there in 15th right now.
Yeah, that won't last long. Kyle will get his rhythm going here. Just happy to have him still racing with us after that really, really bad crash he had in Arlington on the finish line jump to bring out that red flag. But he's up to 6th place there, yeah.
Look at Zimmer already up there. Ryan Zimmer into that 3rd spot. A good qualifying session for him. And there you, after he got to there he goes. He jumped up to 6th there. Good to see Preston Mole out there. He's sitting 11th right now, number 78.
Yeah, Kyle, most of the good guys in that section you ladies and gentlemen just watched coming out of that corner, they're tripling. They're going 3 and then 2 and then into this section where they'll triple out. Those are the fast guys doing that. And then again, you know, it's a little bit different from the Kawasaki track map, but there's the section I was just speaking of. You got a triple and then double.
Yeah, I think some of the guys kind of watched some of those A-free practices there for the guys and saw exactly what they're going to do. But that's huge. You got to get that little triple before you can get that big triple.
Yes, sir.
Especially on this. I mean, I think a 450 can make a mistake, and they got enough torque and power to, you know, send them up and over that 65-foot triple. The whoops here tonight, they look good. I mean, I'm looking at them going, yeah, I'd go through them.
And in your screen there for a while was Luke Vollinger. There he is, number 812. Luke comes to us from Kentucky. You know, and speaking of Kentucky, we might have Ryan Symes, maybe, if he makes it up here on the show to talk with us, another Kentucky boy. There's number...
Yeah, officially. There's that sand section where you got to drop down and...
See how steep it is on the landing. Like you were talking about, if you don't land with both tires, you know, set to get on the brakes immediately, we're going to see some guys going over those Toyota Tough Blocks tonight.
This is what we always talk about each and every week, those yellow flags out there when guys are trying to put down hot laps, and they're going to deal with a lot of those tonight. There's Preston Mole.
Yeah, Preston was really
those
fast.
Yellow flags we were talking about.
That's a tough section. I think we got a guy on the ground that went for that triple and didn't quite make it. Yes, we do. He's moving around. I think he looks okay. But you know, I keep bringing it up, but they have a lot of water in this track, Jim. You know, last week a lot of people complained about how dry it was. In the main event, in my opinion, that's what took Eli Tomac down. It was so dry, slick right there by the mechanics area, he just lost the front end.
Well, we talked about it earlier in the show last week. When they come backwards on the start line, it was all hard and dry right there. And when he got in, you know, he realized he probably got in too hot. Needed to grab some more front brake, grab some more, and just tuck that front end and just kind of went over.
Oh, man, he went down hard. We were both standing right there, but a lot's changed in a week. You know, we've already said that, but this is the same venue, but looking at this track, wow. The dirt doesn't even look like the same dirt from last week. A lot of moisture in it. It's going to get ruddy. It's going to look like a true throwback 90s East Coast race.
There's those whoops, the dragon back we were talking about. And you can double that, carry that momentum around, and you need that momentum in that right hander to get the speed to go through those whoops.
Number 795, Aaron Leininger. He's from Mooresville, North Carolina.
Not too far of a drive. That's I was hanging out there a little bit in Charlotte with Takeshi Koikeda this week and kind of got some snow. You know, I said, oh man.
I was worried about you, bro. I mean, you're a California boy. I know you've been around, but hey, snow is no disco.
No, I mean, you know, I've had some experience with it up in Lake Tahoe and Mammoth and things like that, and driven a few cars on the snow a little bit.
It's kind of like I said, you know, snow's, people that are used to the snow, it's okay. They know how to drive it. You get in the south, you get a couple inches of snow, it's not very good out there.
Well, the snow I can deal with. It's that black ice that you really don't know. Is it shiny? Is it frozen? You just got to kind of pay attention. And you know, I figured, hey, if the truckers are out there, I can be out there. I'll just tuck in behind one of those guys.
I'm glad you made it, bro. I'm glad you're here. We are in the Georgia Dome, 250B, practice number 1. Kyle Cunningham is your fastest rider so far with a 58.6, followed by Jace Owen, Jordan Smith, Vonlinger at number 812 with a minute flat, followed by Preston Mole rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, I want to give a little shout out to Chris Pluth. He's the rider that crashed last week here.
Ugly crash, yeah.
He's still here. I talked to him. He's in. He had back surgery. He'll be fine. He's going to head back to California here. I think probably Tuesday or Wednesday. He'll get the green light to go ahead and fly. I know his dad Roger flew back to be with him and stuff. But our wishes are out there with you, Chris. Speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll see him in Vegas.
I'll second that. It's good news to hear he's okay. You know, those are always scary. Those red flags and back injuries and scary. But hey, these guys are tough. They are in, you know, top physical condition. They're able to. That's how they're able to bounce back from stuff like that.
Well, and he's in Grady Memorial, which is a very good hospital here in Atlanta. Right. He's in good hands, and you know, we wish him a speedy recovery.
That's a good corner right there.
Yeah, it looks like he's on a heater.
Yeah, I think he's got some throwback gear going on there. Old school.
You know, he's had some pretty good rides. I mean, in watching him, he had a 17th last weekend. You know, he's from Georgia here, but
it's a hard
Nick
charger.
Gaines, yeah, I mean, I kind of like, you know, he was up there in that heat race. He's the guy that kind of clipped in Arlington when Freezy had that mishap there, but he's been impressing me.
Me too. Yeah, I think like on the West Coast, he's a guy like Chris Aldridge. Ton of speed, ton of talent. A little bit rusty, you know, a little rough, but you know, those guys are going to be around. Next year will be Aldridge's year to probably get some podiums, and let's keep our eye on Nick Gaines to progress as the series, you know, in the East Coast goes on.
Riders down there in the whoops right there, trying to get the bike started. About 5 seconds to go in this one, and then this is over.
It's a busy track. A lot of stuff going on. Not a lot of speed this weekend, but a lot of technique. You know, it's one of the more technical tracks of the season for sure.
Yeah, I'm okay with the speed being down. I mean, last week's track, well, hang on to it there. That's that sand we talked about, Washington. But, you know, I mean, last week's track was fast, and we saw what can happen on a fast track when Kenny Roczen got it out of control. But I like this one. I mean, it's tight. There's no room for rest out here at all.
No. And I think it's going to lend itself to some passing. You know, no matter what they do with the tracks, guys are going to say, oh, I couldn't, you know, it's a hard track to pass on. But there's places to pass out here. There's one of them right there. The long, big, tall whoop section, setting up a block pass for the end of the, you know, the lap in the, you know, in the main event. Right here, there's going to be some mistakes. You can set up a guy in this sand section and finish your pass on the start straightaway. It's a good track.
There's going to be passing room. The thing about it, the guy who wins the main events tonight in that 250 and 450, they're going to have to flow.
I agree, Jim. It's going to take smooth, precise, you know, calculated moves to get yourself to the front of this pack tonight.
Yeah, Cunningham, Smith, and Owen there, they're smooth.
Well, folks, we got a huge show coming up. We got some guests that are going to join us here soon. Stay tuned.
Jim Holly, Race Day Live, presented by AMSOIL. Well, you see Kelly Lumgear there. Kelly, last weekend you picked up some money from MMI for that Top Tech Award.
Yeah, it's great. You know, any little bonus is always good and always welcome, but it was a rough night. A couple big crashes, and he tweaked up the bike a lot, so it was a busy day for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I saw at one point, you know, you had the handlebars off, things like that. You got to check, make sure the forks aren't bent. I mean, you had your work cut out for you to get that bike prepared for the heat race.
Yeah, definitely, and we got a good crew too. Everybody chipped in, and then we got the job done and got the bike straightened up. But yeah, just another big crash in the main event. Bad start too, so hopefully we can bounce back good this week and get back on the podium.
Let me ask you this. That was last week in Atlanta. It's this week, Atlanta again, the battle in the dome. You're still working. I see the front forks off of this bike, and it never ends, right?
Never ends. You know, you do your work during the week, and then there's a final adjustment here and there on race day, and just getting ready for the day's practices and that. So, yeah, it's a continuous job, non-stop.
What do you do with that money? There's a lot of money there from MMI.
Oh, I don't know. Jeez.
Put it in the bank, or you take some of the guys out. You take Kenny Watson out to dinner, or anything? Kerry Hart or anybody?
Nah, we'll just have some fun with the crew, you know. It's a tight group, so look after each other.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to mention, you know, as a mechanic, you're not only the mechanic, but I mean, you and Kenny have been working together a long time, so you got to kind of talk to him, hey, it's okay, don't worry about it, let's just get this bike, we're fine, don't worry. I mean, you got to do a lot of that.
Yeah, it's you're kind of a mentor too, and a buddy on his side. Just you're there for him through the hard times and the good times, and it's a good team, you know. I think we understand each other really well, and it's a good relationship. I really love working with Ken, and hopefully we can get this thing back on track and get back in there.
Welcome back to the Georgia Dome. Andy Boyer, Jim Hawley, and joining us from MMI is Mark Harston. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, thanks
Good
for
to
having
see
us on.
You know, we were asking, you know, Kelly, when I was talking to him, you know, it's $1,000 each week you're paying out to the Top Tech Award.
You know what, a 500 just wasn't getting them enough of a fancy dinner at the end of the race, so we wanted to give them $1,000. And we really have to thank AMSOIL for stepping up and helping us out with this award today. And each one of these guys that wins this money truly, truly deserves it. I mean, they go above and beyond to get their rider back out there on the track.
You know, talk about that a little bit more. That's a really cool partnership that you and AMSOIL have. They provide oil for all of your guys' school, correct?
That's right. From the motorcycle program to the marine program, they are our official oil sponsor of Motorcycle and Marine Mechanics Institute.
Yeah, it's cool. Official oil. I kind of struggle with that sometimes, you know, but it's fun. Well, another thing that's really fun is seeing these guys like we just interviewed win the MMI Top Tech Mechanic are graduates of your program, and they're out there with the big guys winning these Supercross races. That's got to be cool to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, you know, Andy, every year we find more and more graduates, some that have been around the industry for a long time. We just haven't realized that they're graduates of MMI, and we run into them here and there, and we find more and more every year. Guys like, you know, Carlos Rivera, Cole Seeley's tech, Ryan Dungey's tech. I mean, we got a lot of the top guys that are out there that have grads from MMI.
I want to also, you know, I saw a piece, and I think that Blake Baggett's mechanic is an MMI graduate also.
He is.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he is. There's so many guys that are entrenched into the series. They keep on popping up from, you know, the guys that are just getting into the sport that have been with them for a while, all the way up to some of the top guys that are out there. So we're really proud of all the graduates that are there. And we actually have on our Facebook page, we have little kind of vignettes, if you will, that kind of go into their story, how they got here, what they're doing, who they're working for, and it's really interesting. All they have to do is just go to the MMI Facebook page.
That's really cool, Mark. Go ahead, Joe.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, but do you have some MMI students that came up from Orlando that are here in Atlanta, and you're kind of giving them a behind-the-scenes tour there in the pits and introducing them to some of the graduates?
Yeah, we're actually doing a VIP tour. Now, these are future students. They haven't actually started school yet, so what they do is we bring them in, show them behind-the-scenes stuff.
Politicking,
they get to talk to some of the techs that are actually working on these guys' bikes to see what it's all about, because a lot of the guys that come out of school, most of them will go to dealerships, but there's that small niche group that really want to come out and do something fun like this.
Well, how's your return? You know, Supercross is growing. We have more teams, more bikes, more opportunities for guys to come out of your program and get jobs. Are you seeing the return from your investment here? Are there more guys showing up at your school wanting to be mechanics?
Absolutely. You know, we see guys all over the country at some of these races that say, you know, I've seen MMI since I was 8 years old. Now I'm 18 years old. I'm looking to get in this and really try to get myself to the top echelon of motorsports, which for them is Supercross and nothing else.
Well, something else you guys are doing, AMSOIL as well as MMI, you guys are giving away a replica Kevin Windham motorcycle. How's that going?
You know what, man? Like, Kevin first of all, he's the crowd favorite, right? Everybody loves him, but not only that, he always rode one of the best bikes for a lot of years. Just a great guy. We're really proud to team up with AMSOIL to actually offer his bike to somebody out there. They don't have to be a graduate. They don't have to be a student or affiliated with MMI. So anyone can go to winkevinsbike.com and throw their name in the hat, as long as they're 18 years or older. And man, I'd love to bring it back to Atlanta and drop it off at somebody's doorstep here.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now Jocelyn, she's hard working for you guys at MMI. I see her at a lot of races, and along with Terry Emig, but she's been a fixture around the sport for a long time.
She's one of the biggest enthusiasts of Supercross that we have, and I couldn't be luckier to work with such a great person out there. She knows the riders, she knows the techs, she knows everybody by name. They all know her, and really because of her is kind of where we're at today. And just having a partner like that to come out here to the races, it's like working with you guys. Love bringing out some really good people to the race, and I couldn't have done this without Jocelyn.
One of my favorite shows when I look back at having you guys on was Phoenix, when we had a chance to have you on as well as the AMSOIL guys. I really enjoyed the tech that developing the oils and the chain lube and things like that. I mean, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, AMSOIL's coming out with a lot of really good products, and they say, we want to showcase this in your schools, and that's why we brought them on. But also, they're a very generous company. They're doing scholarships for maybe some kids who really are kind of struggling on the financial side to come in. But they also want to use our school as kind of like a test lab almost. So they're saying, hey, after you rebuild an engine 30 times, what are you seeing from our oils? How are they holding up? How are they holding up during the dyno test that you guys do? There's a lot of different applications that they can come into MMI and use those oils and lubricants for.
Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking about different applications, the motorcycles are changing. When I asked Mitch Payton, what's making that thing go fast? He's like, ignition, the mapping. Is that a part of your program that's ramped up now and educating these kids to learn that part?
Absolutely. With all the EFI bikes coming in, you have to know, first of all, you have to know computers. So people who love computers or even love gaming, they're going to see that translate over into a career like this, because basically a lot of these guys will plug a bike in, get out, whether they're doing a map, a dyno tune, whatever the case is, you always have to have data to make sure these things run good. And you'll see these guys in the trailers. They're, when they get in from a practice round, Dungey will go into his trailer and he'll sit there and watch tape. They'll look at how the bike performs on a lot of different levels, and that's technology. That's where these bikes are going. As simple as they look, they're really not. There's a lot that goes into them now.
Well, and you mentioned that as we're getting a chance here to watch the 250 Group C practice out here. I'm sure a lot of these guys are graduates. They have to start here. There's some of the guys down there. You recognize any of the faces down there?
All of them, man. We'll take all of them, yeah.
Well, here's an interesting question. This is the 250C group, and we have Vicky Golden, who's trying to get into the night show. How many female mechanics are you seeing coming through your program?
Well, it's going to be a smaller amount than we do on the male side, of course. But I'll tell you this, and any dealer will tell you this as well. Some of the females that we have coming out of school today are some of the ones that get picked up first. They're very detail-oriented, they take their time, and they just seem like they have something to prove to the world, which is awesome for a dealer or a race team. And, I've met a lot over my years at MMI, and they are some of the best that come out of the school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny that, Andy and I, we talk off camera a lot and things like that. And, I think I need to go just to learn how to unplug those things, because some of you push in, sometimes I get so mad I just rip them out, and then I got to go get a new ignition because I broke it, You ever run into guys like that are maybe a little bit impatient like myself?
A little behind the curve, a little impatient,
Yes, we have a Jim Hawley class at MMI, and they say, here's how you're going to start out. You're just going to tear it apart, and then here's where you're going to end up by gently putting it all back together. So.
Well, that's another thing I wanted to ask you is, they're graduates. Do you ever time anybody? Because I know here sometimes the Top Tech Award, these guys got to be fast. I mean, the riders get out there, they wad a motorcycle up, the bars have to be changed, the forks, this, that. They only have minutes to get that bike ready for the last chance.
Yeah, we absolutely do, because there's only so much time during their class that they have, and during that class they've got to rebuild the engine from scratch. Then sometimes they'll even install it and then test it and tune it on the dynos. So they're basically going to be trained on what they'll see in the real world. Now, being a race tech, I mean, there's a lot of different stresses and struggles during the day, and these guys have to perform at a whole different level. So we don't want to scare anybody from coming to school, because you will start out, very gently, just kind of, hey, here's a motorcycle engine, here's how it works. Yeah. But when these guys get to these levels, it's a whole different ball game.
Well, talking about different levels, that was the 250C group that just wrapped up for us right there.
Potter up front.
Coming up next, we got the A group. And Mark, you know, I know you're a huge fan. The racing this year has been outstanding, particularly last weekend. I don't know if you were here in person or watched it live on television. That 4-rider freight train in the 250 class was really something else. That's got to be great.
250s on the West and the East Coast have been insane this year, and we've actually have a couple MMI grads on some of the 250 guys as they're kind of coming up with their riders to eventually hit the the 450 class. But yeah, man, the competition this year, this is what it's all about for the fans, for the racing. I watched it on TV, and I wish I was here last week.
It was pretty cool, you know, when seeing those 4 guys go after it. And, you know, talking to Joey Savacci this morning, he's like, hey, there's going to be 5 in it tonight, you know, and Reed's fired up. It's throwback night. It's just the Georgia Dome's special. I'm glad we're here, and it just feels good as a fan, doesn't it?
Well, I've got my Saved by the Bell T-shirt on under this thing, so I'm going all 90s myself. But you know what? The Georgia Dome, it's one of my favorite races because all the noise stays inside, and when this crowd explodes, it is something like I've never heard before. So, man, we're so excited to be, you know, the official technical school of Supercross, and man, you guys just bring the best when you come to town. We really appreciate it.
Well, we couldn't do it without good folks from NMI. Mark, thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thanks so much.
We're going to get into the
I saw Jocelyn over there. She was looking at it like, hey, we got to go. We got to do something else
she's
today.
not there anymore.
And on the track right now, 250A, group qualifying number 2. There's Vince Friese. He's been banging around the top 5 himself. He's showing some good speed. Had a little bit of troubles with rolling the triples so far this season, but
yeah, Friese last week, you know, he had not a bad ride. He had a 6 there. He's still kind of in the points hunt. If you look at him, you know, this is what I like. Martin Davalos sits in 5th, Lemoyne's in 6th, Vince Friese in 7th, and RJ Hampshire in that 8th place. Well, you take Davalos, Lemoyne, and Friese, they're tied with 30 points each. Joey Savacci at 36, so they're still in it.
They are still in it. It's going to get good. You know, this 250 East is really going to heat up. And folks, attention race fans, check out the reigning national MX champion Yamaha YZ250F and new 2015 YZ450 4-strokes at YamahaMotorsports.com today.
You know, Andy, we've talked about it a lot with Vince Friese. This is a track where if he gets a hole shot, I think he could win one here, maybe.
He could absolutely win one. He's got the speed, and this is another guy that was the fastest in the first time practice, Mitchell Oldenburg. You know, they said over there, Jimmy Albertson and that group from Oklahoma said to look out for this guy. They said he's going to be fast. You know, putting it up on top of the tree, that says you're pretty fast, to say the least.
Yeah, you see, you know, he finished up 11th here. He kind of likes the dirt. You see that when that first free practice when he went out there, but 11th, 13th in the points. That's a nice GoPro look right there. Coming from the over and under bridge.
Very nice, very nice. And there's Jeremy Martin with his throwback scheme. You know, that 4th place finish at the opener from him, some people were like, well, maybe Supercross isn't really his forte. And then he comes out last weekend, starts in 6th place and passes everybody and wins it.
Well, watch him, give him a shot, you know, follow him around.
Matt Lemoyne, another tough fighter. You know, he's hanging around with the factory guys up in the top 5. Tough kid, tough Texan. He's still got some sore ankles from the opener too.
I'd like to see him get on the podium tonight.
I always like to see the guys that are on the factory teams make the podium, you know, and all those sponsors that are on his bike and on his gear, you know, they're what are getting him to the races. You know, getting some return on that investment's really cool.
And Martin Davalos on that factory Husqvarna there with a 56.2. Marvin Muskin a 56.6. And then you got Matt Lemoyne, like we were talking about, with a 56.9 there. So I think Martin Davalos, I think he thinks after last weekend, he thinks that Atlanta owes him one. He's looking good. He was fast last week, too.
It had been a while since Martin had been at the front of the pack, you know, and he got out there and actually got a little bit of a lead about lap 7. It's pretty common we'll see guys just get arm pump, or maybe they just start thinking about it too much.
Well, I think with him, you know, when I talked to him on the track, it was that timing section. He couldn't, after the drag him back, the step on, step off, he kept missing that. He would nail it for like 2 laps, then he'd miss it on the 3rd lap. Then he would go 4th, 5th, 6th, and then he'd miss it again. And that just gave Bogle, and everything started tightening up. I don't see that here. I look at everybody. I think that everybody, as you've seen the red cross flag now out there,
somebody
we just
went down
got
the whoops pretty big there.
Glimpse of it. But he's okay. They're not going to red flag it. They were just letting him know. So But you look at it
Tonis.
was Tonis there, the man from Switzerland.
Went down pretty hard there in the whoops. The whoops are big. They're big this weekend, so.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks about this is, he went down, probably the bars are bent.
Yeah.
You really can't go out there and turn any fast laps. And if you look at where the, Tonis, he's in 12th right now with a 59.1. Hopefully that bike's not too bent up.
Yeah, with about 5.5 minutes to go, it's Davalos, Muskin, Lemoyne, Martin, and Oldenburg. Oldenburg's fast tonight.
Well, there goes Bogle into third now. He just turned to 56.8.
There he is, yeah. Let's see if Martin's on a heater here. Let's see if his lap time's any good.
Yeah.
Right to the top, 56.2.
Yeah, 291 and a 297 for Martin Davalos. So
393 is Taylor Potter. I'm sorry. That's it, yeah, Taylor Potter. He's from Australia. All the way over from Australia, from Chaplin Honda, Mad Jim, Vortex Ignition, Bridgestone Tires.
yeah, we did a feature with him last year, and his girlfriend's actually over here helping him out, and it's good to see Taylor Potter out here.
A lot of fast guys from Australia always showing up. And there's RJ Hampshire. He's missing a start. I think if he gets a better start, we're going to really see his true speed and his talent and his potential. He has a lot of all three.
Yeah, a lot of times guys like RJ Hampshire, kind of new to the class, they really don't want to get out there and lead it, just quite yet. They kind of want to get their feet wet and just kind of mix it up and see. But tonight might be the night. You got to remember that it's been a long time since we've seen a Honda win.
Yeah, it has. We got notes on that, don't we, Jim? Last time a Honda won here in the 450 class was 2008, I think.
Yeah, and then in the 250 it was 2013. Honda's got 8 wins here. Cowie's got 9, Yamaha's got 8, and Honda's got 8. So if Martin or RJ Hampshire or Bogle, they can jump up and tie, with, and that Yamaha win was last week. So that gave them 8. So we'll see if they can make it 9 here at Yamaha.
A lot of stats, coming up into tonight. Pretty cool, yeah. Kawasaki, Honda, and Yamaha could be tied up in the 250 class for wins. Jeremy Martin, I don't know, he has a lot of people looking at him right now as a serious challenge to Marvin Musquin. Musquin made it look easy, and wow, that's another unbelievably good corner and lap from Martin. Let's see if he dropped a 10th off there.
Yeah.
He did more. That's a whole second faster.
A 55.1 for Jeremy Martin there, but we were talking about it. I mean, 12 different first-time winners here in the Georgia Dome. The last time Suzuki won here, 07 with Dungey, but a lot of, Eddie Warren, Keith Turpin, Denny Stevenson, Henry, Dowd, Ricky Carmichael, Grant, Dungey, Canard in 08, Wilson, and we got a red flag now, so they're going to shut it down.
He's down in the whoops really hard. Got the red flag out. We're going to wish for the best for him. Keep our thoughts and prayers with the rider that's down. We'll update you as soon as we know more.
That was another nice GoPro shot there with the time clock in there. You get a chance to see they got about 2 minutes and 52 seconds, so they're going to restack it up. The Asterix Mobile Medical Unit going to jump out there. Pretty good.
And the track is, it's really starting to rut up. It's soft. It's got a lot of moisture in it. Those whoops are starting to cup out a little bit. Hey, this is qualifying. This is time qualifying. These guys are really laying it out there, trying to get a lap. It's very important to get a good lap, get a good gate pick, and just get some momentum going for the night show.
It's a nice shot right there. You see that big dome. Too bad they're going to blow this thing up here in a couple of years.
I still can't believe that.
2017.
What's wrong with this place? It looks brand new. And all the memories that are in here. My friend Kevin Kelly said, this is the house that Ricky built. That's sacrilege. How can we do something, the house that Ricky built?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you got to go back to Fulton County. I'm sure Mark Barnett and the other guys that won in that, and Jeff Stanton saying, hey, that's where I got my first. How can you blow this thing up? But, hey, we're moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on and moving along with the show here. We had an interview that Jim did with Jacob Hayes earlier. Here it comes.
Jacob Hayes, welcome to Race Day Live. We're here in Atlanta, and you're in Kansas City this weekend. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
We're doing great here. We got the battle in the dome. I got to ask you, last weekend, you know, that was a first time ever you guys were in Tampa. How'd that go for you?
Man, that place was awesome. I've been to Florida a couple times, but never to Tampa, and the crowd was unreal there. You know, everyone was very energetic, and the stadium or the arena was really nice, and we had a good track layout. The track guys did a great job, and it set up for good racing. You know, it was a great night, and I enjoyed being there.
You know, I got to ask you, you're leading the points right now. You got about 240 points there. A little bit behind you, another Floridian rider there, Matt Gerke. He's just a little bit behind you. But you guys restack up after a few more rounds.
Yeah, you know, we have this weekend and 2 more before the points reset. And we go for the race to the championship. The first race is in New Orleans. So it should be good. You know, right now it's just getting the bike dialed in, getting everything set up, and ready to go for the race to the championship. You know, been working on my starts a little bit, struggling a little bit with those.
You mentioned those starts here on the Supercross series. We've been seeing those Huskies get great starts on the West, and Martin Davalos leading here last weekend. I got to ask you, Kyle Regal sitting third in the points, and his teammate Gavin Faith. I mean, those Huskies are working not only in Supercross but also in the Amsoil Arena Cross series.
Yeah, we got to shut those guys down. You know, the Husqvarnas are definitely getting off to good starts. Kyle's been amazing on his starts this year. You know, he's put himself in a good position at every single main event just because of the start. You know, so we need to work on that and put the Team Babbitts up front off the start. You know, represent well, and we've been working on them, so they should pay off.
Hey, welcome back to the Georgia Dome. We are back rolling here. That was Mitchell Oldenburg that went down the whoops, but he got up under his own power and got off the track.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, he'll be able to come back for that second and final time practice here as we're getting a chance to watch Bogle go around the over and under bridge. He's going to double there, step on, step off here. Make this left-hander, grab some throttle, triple this, double.
You know, of all the guys we interviewed after the race last weekend, that guy wasn't happy. He wants more than a third place.
Well, I think that, you know as well as I do, Andy, as a rider, you look at it, and he was in the position to win both of those. He's thinking, man, I could have had 2 wins already on this season. But, I mean, I think he's all right with a couple podiums, you know, to start the season off. I think
for sure.
It's not bad, a second and a third here.
Yeah, they say that big number 1 might add a couple ounces to your bike, too.
Ounces? I'm thinking pounds.
Well, I want to say, you know, I wanted to go a little lighter there. But, you know, the pressure of being the defending champion, and everybody's looking at you. And I think we can see him click it up a couple more notches. Bogle has a little bit more speed in the tank. I think he's going to loosen up. Really want to keep our eye on this guy tonight.
Well, you got to remember, he's coming off of some injuries just like he started the season last year. So he knows how to deal with adversity. Nice triple there.
Yeah, there's Musquin.
That retro gear on you were talking about.
Looks good, looks smooth. He had an off night last weekend. You know, he just, you don't see him make very many mistakes. And during the main event last weekend, he was, you know, almost crashing in the whoops, losing the front tire in the corners.
Well, you got to remember that, you know, he got that 9th and final transfer spot in that heat race. He got rear-ended, and he went down. He got that 18th gate pick, and, you know, I was surprised to see him up there in the beginning, but he had kind of a, you know, he had a little bit of a different night. It wasn't a perfect night like he had the weekend before in Arlington, so we'll see how tonight goes for him.
And the checkered flag is out, so if Musquin's on a heater here, right now your top 5 is Jeremy Martin, Marvin Musquin, Martin Davalos, Matthew Lemoyne, Jimmy Dakotas, the Rippa with the top 5 qualifying run here. Very impressive. And it's Joey Savacci, Tonis, Hampshire, Bogle, and Freezy. Jeremy Martin was 4/10 faster than Marvin in this session. You know, and 2/10 off him was Davalos, and they were all a little bit faster than Lemoyne, about a half a second. It's going to be fun to listen to Ashley Phillips talk to Jeremy Martin down here in the podium in a little bit. Jeremy's got to be feeling good, coming off that big win, coming through the pack, passing all of his competition. You know, that just rewards confidence.
Well, as he builds off his win win last weekend right here in the Georgia Dome. Jeremy Martin sets an extremely fast time here in the first round of qualifying, 55.1. Jeremy, how are you liking this retro track?
The retro track's good. You know, what I really like about this event is just everyone's old school. You know, you can see my Yamaha right here. It's a big throwback, and the gear's a throwback from Answer, and I'm just pumped to be here and, you know, have such a good group of people and be out here riding.
Give me a little bit of thoughts on the track. It's different than we've seen, different rhythm sections. You actually have to set yourself up in the corners a little differently than we had last week. Give me some thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, the track's very technical. The whoops are really eating a lot of people up, and you just got to be smart and smooth, and these guys are going to get faster, you know, so they'll go back and look at footage, and I just got to do the same and get faster.
Is there anything you're going to change on your bike between this qualifying and the next?
Yeah, we'll make some minor tweaks to get more comfortable. I feel like I can be better out there, and with the help of my mechanic Pedro and Chad and the Carmichael family, I should be able to get better.
Well, it can't look any better than this. Take a look at this bike. It is unbelievable. We're going retro here in the Georgia Dome, and Jeremy Martin sets the fast qualifying right now in this first session. We're heading back upstairs.
Thanks a lot, Ashley.
That was pretty cool. I like his gear. I like the bike.
Well, and the other thing that I like is, you know, he's from Minnesota. He likes the sand, too. So,
Jeremy,
I mean, this could be another one. There's
Dungey.
Dungey with his retro gear, and looks identical to Marvin Muskin. It's just he's got only he doesn't have a 2 on his number plate.
He's got a big number 1 in the point standings right now. 25-point lead for Ryan. 450, Group A, qualifying number 2. Dungey, you know, what more can you say? His worst finish of the year was a 4th place at the season opener. Since then, he's been on the podium every single weekend. He has 2 wins. He was really close to getting a win last weekend. Chad Reed was somehow able to pull down into the pit of his guts and pull that thing off. But Dungey's got to be feeling great.
I think he knows that, you know, if he can be on the podium each and every weekend and sneak a few more wins, that, you know, he's going to win the championship. He hasn't had a bad night. I mean, like you looked at Kenny Roczen, he had 2 horrible nights. You got to look at Oklahoma, and you got to look, I mean, not Oklahoma, Oakland, and then you got to look at last weekend in Atlanta for Kenny Roczen. And then Eli Tomac also the same. He's had problems. Trey Canard's been about the consistent one, but he had the problem with Chad Reed. So, I mean, if you look at that, you know, Dungey's in that driver's seat right now.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like, more to that, Jim, something you can relate to. Dungey's got some years, you know? I mean, Tomac and Roczen aren't veterans. They're, you know, this 450 elite class and the pressure and the speed, that's new news to them still. I think they're still getting used to a long series on the bigger bike against guys like Ryan Dungey and some of the veterans like Millsaps, you know, Weimer, Reed. You know, it's tough sledding, but they're doing good. It's just Ryan Dungey, he's got the formula down.
Well, and you got to also add to the fact that, you know, with that pressure of having the red background leading the points, is also this is a new motorcycle that he developed. So he's got that pressure also that, you know, he's trying to get KTM's first championship win.
That's right.
For KTM in Supercross.
And folks, DC Shoes is proud to be the official footwear sponsor of AMA Supercross. Defy convention with DC Shoes. You know, speaking about DC, you know, they always have that last chance qualifier, $10,000 if you're able to win the last chance qualifier and then pull off the main event victory. That could happen.
Well, the last time it happened, you know, Jeremy McGrath did it, but we've seen so close this year even in that 250 class as well as the 450, but there's Kenny Roczen with his pink boots on and his throwback gear.
I still, that crash he had last weekend when he bounced himself off the side of the stadium, I talked to his mechanic and he said his leg got sandwiched between the wall and his radiator and it smashed that radiator like a pop can. So they're just happy he's still in this thing, still has a chance, still healthy.
Yeah, I mean, 31 points out. Yeah, there's a lot of racing to go. They're going to Daytona next weekend.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't happy with that sand turn. He kind of slowed down after that, looked back at it. He might want to make you know, some changes to the bike. He might come in and talk to his mechanic, Kelly Lungear, and maybe make a change on it. Who knows? I know he's got a little pressure because the GOAT, Ricky Carmichael, his boss, he's in town, so.
Yeah, you got to show up for the boss. You know, that Sands corner after the under and over bridge, there we go, excellent shot. It's getting pushed out more and more and more. There was 2 specific lines, but those guys have now pushed all that sand out to the outside of the track. It's getting gnarly over there.
Well, it's going to be different for the Feld track crew after all practice is over. It's going to be a little bit different come time when those heat races take off.
Okay, to update you folks, with 5 minutes to go in 450 group qualifying A, Ryan Dungey, Eli Tomac, Cole Seeley, Trey Canard, and Jason Anderson rounding out your top 5. I tell you what, those 3 Hondas have been in the top five of qualifying more than anybody all season. I'm talking about Tomac, Seeley, Canard. It's only a matter of time before one of those Honda guys get another win. Like we spoke about, there's the corner we were just talking about there, getting pushed out. But it's been since 2008, and like I told you this morning, we were off camera, I think a Honda's going to win this thing tonight, Jim. Well, which one? But
I mean, I'd like to see Seeley win it. I mean, you know, get his first. There's been a lot of first-time winners here in the 250 as well as the 450 class, but it'd be nice for Seeley, and he had some pretty good rides here. If my memory serves me correct, he actually, when he was filling in for Honda as a replacement rider, he led here for about 7 or 8 laps, I remember.
I'll tell you a racer that reminds me, Cole Seeley reminds me a lot of, you can probably guess, it's another guy that got his first win here in 1989 on a Honda.
Jeff Stanton.
Yeah, I see a lot of similarities between them two. Not a lot of flash, not a lot of talk, just hard-nosed, good riding.
Eli Tomac now just kind of rolling through.
Man, it's been rough for Tomac. Ever since, it almost seems like, you know, I don't want to say bad vibes, but it's just a lot of bad mojos come over him since him and Reed started locking bars way back in San Diego.
Well, and the other thing too, you know, we talked to him and found out that, you know, to add insult to injury, last weekend when he went down, he had to go get some stitches in his elbow. So he's riding with some stitches. Probably maybe had them taken out already. Usually they leave him in about 5 or 6 days, but you know, he had to battle through that. And I think he's on a heater right now. I think he saw a little bit of a gap here. He's a few ruts starting to develop that double into this corner here. Step on, step off, pull the trigger and do the triple here. Get yourself set up for this little triple coming up to the big 65-foot triple here. And out of this corner,
oh my Lord, that's how you go around a corner right there. Oh man, I wish I could do that more than anything on the track.
Well, we saw him, you know, rolling through the whoops. So he's on a heater right now. Let's see if he can bump up. He's sitting right now 4th.
To the top, 53.9. Wow. You know, and going back to that crash last weekend, Tomac kind of has those instances. It was just it was so fast. Next thing you knew, he was riding perfect. He was coming through the pack. Bam, he's on the ground.
Yeah, Kenny Roczen now going to have to deal with some yellow flags there. One of the guys down probably in the sand section. It looks like it's Blake Baggett, number 4.
Boy, that just looks like Larry Ward right there. In 1990, you know, whatever, Larry Ward had that gear on a Suzuki. It's looking pretty stylish. There's Weston Pike, another guy banging on the door to win last weekend.
Yeah, you know, and you look at Phil Nicoletti, he's still filling in for Justin Barsha. Don't know if Barsha's coming back next week, or maybe Indy still hasn't been on the bike yet. There's Hill coming out. Look at his retro bike.
Yeah, the Cycle Trader, Rock River Yamaha folks, outfitted his YZ450 with a throwback theme. I think Hill has found a good home there. You know?
Yeah, I know that Christina Denny and Chris and all the people out there that are happy with him. He's putting it in the main events. Last weekend, I know he had a pretty good ride. It wasn't like he wanted, but a 14th, not bad for him, but he wants to be in the top 10.
Yeah, and he will be. He will be probably tonight. Yeah, that's not too bold of a prediction to say Josh Hill's going to be in the top 10. Has the talent, on a good bike, he can get it done. But Pike, he's got a broken foot, a torn MCL, and he's still putting that bike in the top 5, pulling hole shots and racing at the front.
Can we call him a Georgia Bulldog?
Whatever, as long as he says it's okay.
No, he's gonna. I mean, I'd love to see Weston get a hole shot tonight and pay him $1,500 from SupercrossLive.com and see where he's at leading one of these things. I want to see him leading. I think that's going to gain a little bit of more confidence to him.
I agree. It's like I spoke with Brock Tickle this morning, and I said, you know, you've beat Reed heads up a couple times this year. What was going through your head when you saw him win that main event last weekend? Doesn't that make you feel like, I can do it? Reed did it, I can do it. If I get a hole shot, I can win one of these races. Same for Cole Seeley. Tickle, you know, They got some of that Thor throwback gear, looking like Jeff Emig from 1993 there.
There we're getting a chance to look at Cole Seeley right there, but he didn't step on, step off. I'm not sure if he's trying to look for a good clean spot to try to throw down a heater. We're looking at Seeley right now, 7th in that time practice with a 54.7.
Dungey's on a heater. I just looked over my shoulder and I can see him. You know, the checkered flag is going to be out in about 20 seconds. Dungey's at the top currently. It's Dungey, Canard, Tomac, Roczen, and Anderson are your top 5. So Dungey, unless, let's see, who else is on a heater?
Yeah, and you mentioned those top 3. They're all in the 53, so real close to each other. And then you do drop down to a 54 for Kenny Roczen.
Yeah, the top 8 are within a second and a half. It's awesome.
Look at Andrew Short. He doesn't have the different colored boots on.
Does he? He's got an orange or a yellow one.
He's got yellow ones. Yeah, I don't see the orange. Watch when he makes his turn. We're going to get a chance to see. There it is there. Now he's on the other side. Same color.
Yeah. We'll hope that works out for him.
I have to ask him about it. Yeah.
Ryan Dungey, he's your fastest racer, man. The diesel keeps rolling. He's going to be down there to talk to Lurch here in a little bit. We're going to hear about his time out there and his qualifying effort. Got Dungey, Tomac, Canard, Roczen, Anderson. That's your top 5. It's going to be interesting to hear from Dungey. See how he likes the track, how he likes the sand sections. If he's that fast, there we go.
5 Red Bull KTM points leader, former Supercross champion, 53.4 if I'm not mistaken on that fast lap. Track's a little different, a lot shorter little gaps, not the long runs like we saw last week here.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit slower than last week and a little tighter, but longer lap time. So it'll be a long main event, but just trying to put in good laps and get comfortable. So that's the main goal. And ideally, this fastest lap, it's good going into the night show with gate pick and everything. So we'll keep after it.
Only one time off the podium. The season's going as picturesque as you can plan it to. 2 wins on the season. So, man, it's a long one, but man, you're doing exactly what you need to do to keep that red number plate.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing our best, and that's all we can do. So, with each race it brings, we'll try to put her up front and do the best we can, and hopefully that's on top, But putting the effort out there, that's the goal.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get up for the number 5 Red Bull KTM of Ryan Dungey, running the retro gear, looking good. I think I had a set just like that.
Hey, and folks, welcome to the Georgia Dome, round 9.
That's some of the gear you wore. Kind of seen some old photos of you and stuff. You used to wear that stuff too, right?
Oh yeah, bright blue. I think they called it electric blue.
You look like I remember kind of that was more a little bit later than Bradshaw. You did look like Wyndham. I'm kind of thinking like Wyndham gear.
Yeah. Yeah, I was Wyndham in 1997 on the factory Yamaha. I was a Team Green rider personally, but I always liked that gear. The 90s were a pretty interesting year for fashion, on and off the track. Here we are with 450 Group B qualifying. It's Jimmy Albertson right there.
Top Jimmy been struggling a little bit these last couple races.
It's tough. It's top to bottom the nastiest 450 class I can remember seeing. Guys like him, guys like our guest last week, Adam Intignap, Stewart, there's your, Schmidt, it's Nick Way, Partridge. There's 10 guys that are trying to get into that 20-rider main event.
Well, and here's the difference between the B and the C on those first laps. A lot of guys aren't doing that triple, and everyone's hitting it the first lap in the A practice here. But going through the whoops there, he's following us. Looks like Nick Schmidt there.
AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil delivers maximum horsepower, bulletproof wear protection, and consistent clutch feel for the confidence you need to get on it, get after it, and stay out front. AMSOIL. Out front performance. Visit amsoil.com/dirtbike to learn more. And if you want to win, MMI and AMSOIL have teamed up to give you a chance to win a replica of Kevin Wyndham's Honda CRF 450R Supercross bike. Go to www.winkevinsbike.com for your chance to win. MMI, the official technical institute of Monster Energy Supercross. It was cool having Mark Karsten on here. I really like their program, because I'm not a very good mechanic. I'm glad those guys are making more mechanics out there.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that you know, they found a need to supply the Supercross world with more mechanics, and I think they're doing a great job on, and not only, you know, that, but they're placing them in dealers. A lot of the graduates are going right into the dealerships and starting. There's that GoPro camera. 8:05 left in this practice.
They're just starting to see some times coming up here on live timing and scoring. Nick Schmidt's at the top right now, 58.1, followed by Jimmy. Hasn't updated much other than that. But look how nasty those sand sections are getting. And like we predicted, that sand's getting drug out into the starting line sweeper. Still looks like some good traction around the track, top to bottom though.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to present a problem for the guys going into the first turn, because that section's, you know, really not in the breaking point when they're going into there. But
Killian Rusk right there.
Yeah, he's sitting pretty good. Sitting third right now with a 103 though, but I'm sure he's going to drop it into the 58s, 59s. Schmidt in the 58.1, Albertson in the 59.2.
Killian Rusk has showed some speed this season. You know, gotten into some main events. There's number 86, actually. He got in the main event last weekend. Zachary Freeberg, a West Coast guy, moonlighting over here on a 450 in the East Coast.
Yeah, Strict Racing, you know, and Bruce Slayton over there, Marty Smith helping those guys out. But they're, like you said, a West Coast team, and I think they did the same thing with Preston Mall last year, you know, getting a chance to get Freeberg some more race time, you know, on a 450. I think, you know, hey, you're a racer, and why sit at home? Come out here and start racing. I mean, I guarantee you, he loved getting it into the main event last week, and you know, a 19th for him. I know the Yamaha YZ dollar program, you know, paid him a lot of money, and you know, the Feld Motorsports people in the AMA, the purse money. I mean, he made a lot of money last weekend.
Yeah, several $1,000s. It's better than staying at home, you know. Man, I really like that corner out to the bridge. It's just a good berm all the way around it with a good arc. You know, I want to see some more shots in there. It's really cool.
Well, and the other thing with Freeberg too is that, you know, hey, you're going to school and he's getting paid for it. You know, I know a lot of people, when you go to school, you got to pay for it. So he's going to school and he's also making money. So those are two great things.
Yeah. That's what they call winning. All right, with about 5 minutes to go, Kyle Partridge is at the top of the 450B practice, or I'm sorry, qualifying number 2. Kyle Partridge, Nick Schmidt, Jimmy Albertson, Ronnie Stewart, and Harrison are your top 5. And folks, if you're ready to turn the corner, check out the National MX Champion Yamaha YZ250F and Super Nimble YZ450F at YamahaMotorsports.com, or see your local Yamaha dealer.
I'm going to have to ask Freeberg, you know, it says strict Yamaha / Hollywood Racing.
You giving that guy some money too, Jim?
I don't know. He's got, you know, Enzo helping him out, Yamalu, Dunlop, a lot of people helping out Freeberg.
We got number 181 there.
Dustin Pipes,
yeah,
Fresno, California. Still waiting for him to get in that main event. You know, came so close to getting into the main event. Alex Ray, and he's sitting 7th right now. I thought Alex Ray put in a great ride last week in that last chance race. Just one short. He finished up 5th. You need to be in that top 4 to get it in. So hopefully Alex Ray can make his first main event of his career here in the Duel in the Dome, February 28th.
I can't wait for the races tonight. You know, top to bottom, the heat races, the semis, the last chance qualifiers, you know, and of course the main events. All coming up tonight. Going to be a great show. It's going to be on Fox Sports 2 tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So remember to make a note, a mental note. Fox Sports 2, 7 p.m.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Last week it was Fox Sports 1. Now we're the second time in Fox Sports 2.
That's right. Doubleheader, 2. Deuces, you know, and Chad Reed won last weekend, 22. He wants to win back-to-back races. Hasn't happened yet this far, you know, this far into the season. Hasn't happened yet.
Well, and you talk to the last time Reed went back-to-back, you got to go back to 09, Indianapolis and Daytona, and back in 1998, we had 6 different winners. Chad Reed made it the 5th different winner last weekend in 2015. And the last back-to-back we had here in Atlanta, Ricky Carmichael, back in 05 and 06. So we'll see what happens.
Now we're going to see what happens. It's going to be good. I really think the track lends itself to passing. I've said that before already on the show. I think we're going to see some good runs through the whoops. We're going to see some passing in both of those sand sections. It's got some, like you see there, some tricky rhythm sections.
Well, we talked about it earlier on the show. Yamaha has 11 wins the last time in 09, but a lot of those wins, 5-time winner here in Atlanta, MC and RC. They were 5-time winners. And you got 3-time winners with James Stewart, Damon Bradshaw, Bob Hanna, and Mark the Bomber Barnett.
Talking about Barnett and Bradshaw there, that's the only scary statistic that I saw in these notes. Mark Barnett and Bradshaw both won their last career Supercross victory in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Reed just won that thing last weekend. What are we thinking? Is it possible that could be Reed's last win?
Well, that's why he wants to win.
Get it going right now, tonight.
Right now, back to back. But it's still Atlanta, so if he doesn't win any after this, it still could be his last win here. But no, I think Chad Reed's got a few more in the tank left.
Has to. Anybody that could go out there and hold off Ryan Dungey, the series points leader, for 20 laps with him breathing down his neck, he's going to win again. You just can't count him out.
Oh, look at Partridge now up on the top with a 56.6. Nick Way starting to feel his oats there, a 56.8. It's interesting. We talk about Chad Reed with that win. Kurt Binky called me and said, Chad Reed's the oldest. I said, no, Chad Reed's not the oldest. Mike LaRocco is the oldest.
The Rock. The Rock.
And I saw something and it said 33, but I asked Mike, he goes, no, I was 34 when I won. So, and Chad will be 33 on March 15th. So Mike LaRocco's still the oldest to win a Supercross, but after after Chad Reed, then you got Dowd. Remember when Dowd, he was the oldest for a while.
I think we're seeing a trend. Guys are racing into their 30s more competitively now than they ever have.
Well, I think that's kind of a tribute to the teams and the medicine. I mean, we talk about how motorcycles have evolved. Medicines have evolved in therapy and training sessions and stuff.
Yes,
sir. A lot of core exercises, this, that. I mean, hell, a lot of guys now, they can get on that big beach ball and they'll do all their, man, I just fly off that thing. I can't sit on that beach ball.
Oh, man. 20 years ago, you could have.
Maybe.
All right, with about a minute to go, it is still Kyle Partridge, Nick Way, Nick Schmidt, Harrison, Jimmy Albertson. That's your top 5, followed by Ronnie Stewart, Alex Ray, Killian Rusk, Clausen's in 9th. Clausen got in the main event last weekend. Zachary Freeberg, that's your top 10.
Yeah, Clausen last weekend, that was a good ride for him, as well as Ronnie Stewart. Both of those guys got in the main event, but they were 21 and 22. So they'd like to be up there, maybe 13, 14, 12, 13.
See how slick it's getting coming out from that bridge, Jim? How that sand's carrying out in there into the hard pack. It's a place we're they're going to work on the track. I wonder how much they're going to fix that sand section, though, with the big berm it has going around the outside of it.
Oh, they'll fix it. I mean, maybe not now, but I think they'll pull that sand back down in, because here's the thing. That sand has got roosted up and created a big berm. They don't want to get down to the plywood base that they have underneath there, because it's going to be really slick. So I'm sure they're going to pull it down. It looks to me like, they might even be getting close to that spot.
That's going to conclude 450B qualifying number 2. We are here in the Georgia Dome for round 9. Still got a big show coming up, have some exciting guests, a lot of cool features. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Andy Boy with Race Day Live, presented by AMSOIL. This is this week's Toyota Tailgate Talk. We're here at the Monster Energy Party in the pits. We're going to see what's going on. Hey, what's going on? What's your name?
Johnny.
Nice to meet you, man.
Good to meet you.
Where are you from?
We're from Waverly, Tennessee. We're about 10, 15 minutes away from Loretta Lynn's Dude Ranch.
10 minutes from Loretta Lynn's. Wow, that's quite a drive. Now, who did all the driving here?
I did all the driving.
And tell us what your name is again.
Serena. Yeah. It was snow and sleet and ice all the way in, and I did all the driving.
And this is your family right here, right? These are your boys. What's your name?
Shay.
Shay, is this your first time to Supercross?
No, it's my third one.
Who's your favorite rider?
I don't have one.
You don't have one? What's your name?
Michael.
Okay, well, who's your favorite rider?
Probably James Stewart, even though he's not riding.
God, it's not even racing that tonight. That's his favorite rider. But hey, man, looks like we're having a good time here. This is the Monster Energy Party in the pits. They do this every week. You can get in here with a free can of Monster. empty or full. The family came all the way from Waverly, Tennessee. Let's go walk around and see what else is going on. Hey, what's going on today? What's your name?
What's up? I'm Marcus.
Marcus, where you from?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Who's your favorite Supercross rider?
Let's say Trey Canard right now.
Trey Canard? Yeah, man, from Oklahoma. Yeah. Now, you guys had a pretty good drive down here. Did you guys get snowed on or what?
Yeah, a little bit. Still had some snow in my car, but it was a pretty good ride.
Is this your boy?
Yeah, man.
What's your name, man?
Zach.
Who's your favorite rider?
Chad Reed.
Yeah, just over my shoulder here is one of the prime attractions of the Monster Energy Party and Pits, the Monster Girls. They're hard at work, but even they have a boss. Kelly Louch, how's it going, man?
How are you?
Real good. Atlanta Supercross, our biggest crowd we have. You guys having a good time here?
Always. We love Atlanta.
Now tell us some of the responsibilities of the Monster Girls. You know, they're not, you know, they are pretty faces, but they also have a lot to do.
Oh, they're huge. I mean, they're part of the broadcast, part of the race format, and also when the gate drops, that's not when their job starts. They've been here all day, and we've got models over in a jacuzzi.
Now, obviously, another feature attraction over here in the Monster Energy Party in the Pits is the hot tub and the hot tub Monster Girls. Now, tell us your name.
Anna.
Anna, who's your favorite rider?
Chad Reed.
You guys having fun here today?
Yes, we are.
What's some of the craziest thing you've seen in the pits so far today?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's the funny kids that take pictures with us.
Well, who's your favorite rider?
Kid Roczen.
Ken Roczen and Chad Reed. Favorite. They got some fans down here. And we're here in the Georgia Dome for round 9. Andy Boyer, Jim Holley. Hope you enjoyed that Toyota tailgate talk. That was pretty rough. There's a lot of hard work going on there.
I saw you sweating a little bit there,
Oh, man. Good times, good times. We are here at 450. Group C qualifying. It's number 300. Curtis Mandersheed.
Well, and you look at it, you know,
He just went down. Wow.
He's all right. He'll get back up. But if you look at it, there's, you know, the entry list, 48. So that means only 8 guys are not going to make the night program. Hopefully he's not one of them.
Gosh,
hopefully he can get back up,
there's no
start
good
putting in some good times.
Yes, sir. It's no good way to crash in the whoops. It's just, you're going to hit the wrong way every time. I hope he gets going again and gets
There's Robert Lynn. We're looking to him. He had pretty fast qualifying that first time out, but it's still early enough.
You know, Jim, another statistic I was looking at. Ken Roczen has led 49 laps. That's 10 more than anybody else in the field. He's 31 points behind Dungey, yet he's led almost half a main event more laps than him with 49 laps. Dungey's led 39, Canard's led 31, and Reed's led 23. That's as the series goes on. Roczen, I think that's going to show him be at the front more. I think the recent history is going to carry on. He could win this thing tonight. He has to win soon to get back in the championship.
Well, I think what's happened with Kenny is that he's not having good heat races. You got to remember when he was winning those main events out west, he was winning the heat races.
Excellent point.
He was getting great gate picks.
Yep.
He's not getting those gate picks anymore. And we talk about it. When you get 6th, 7th, you kind of do things in the back that you wouldn't do out front leading in one of these things. So he kind of finds himself there. He's going to have to start, winning main events, and how that starts is having good qualifying practices and not crashing like we saw him, and winning heat races. That's the thing about it, for your confidence.
Well, Jim, it's like you showed me last weekend when we were standing down there by the starting line. You're like, wow, look where he's lined up. That's not going to cut it. There's no way you can get a good start from there. These guys are all too good as starters. Competition's too thick. Like you just said, you got to do good in your heat race, get a good gate pick to set yourself up for those main events. He did it earlier in the season. Not so much the last 3 or 4 weeks.
And that's why we see him leading a lot of the points. He's got a couple wins under his belt already, but you got to remember, he led all of those laps almost. I mean, if you look at it, he should have 50 if he led, he didn't lead quite all of them, but he was right there in second, kind of studied the guys, boom, then he went into the lead. But that's why he's got, the most laps led in these main events. But hey, Dungey will say, yeah, I don't care. He can lead some more.
Just got to lead
as long as I'm leading the championship when we come to Las Vegas, on May 2nd. But something else I'm looking forward to when we get to Las Vegas, that AMSOIL Arena Cross on
doubleheader
Friday.
Weekend,
on May 1st there at South Point Arena. We're going to get a chance to watch Hayes and all those guys. Gerke. I think it's pretty cool. Wes Kane's going to be there. That'll be rocking. Hey, we're going to go on Wes's show.
That's it.
Let's,
I hope so.
Yeah, he'll have us on for sure.
We'll get you down on there on the floor when he's hyping up the crowd for opening ceremonies. That'd be cool to have Jim Holley and Wes Kane again together. All right, here we are, 450C qualifying, number 2. 447 is obviously number 447. That is Devin Raper. Devin Raper out of Mesa, Arizona. He lists RJC Racing, Thousand Oaks, O'Neill, Race Tech, Recluse, Action Ride Co., 100% and Asterix, and FMF as his sponsors.
Yeah, you know, Devin, he's just not charging. You know, you're kind of rolling through the loops, things like this. You got to charge. I mean, you got to use these laps here. You look at it, you got about 4 more minutes to go, and it looks like he was kind of slowing down to get on a heater. Let's see where he's at. He's sitting right now in that 3rd position with a 104.2. Let's see if that bumps him up. He's on a heater right now. Let's take a lap around here at the Dome. Oh, hang on to it, Raper. That's what I'm talking about.
Coming up short on that.
Coming up short, and you're double bouncing. You don't have the braking. But he recovered fine from it. Step on, step off.
Still has a
charge into the corner.
Decent left-hander.
Little slow on some of those corner
out of
speeds.
there, yeah, Jim.
Single, let's see, just kind of step on, step off, pull the trigger. Yeah, see, you got to triple that. 250s can do it, you can do it.
Oh man, yeah.
He's not even going to triple this.
He's going to throw this lap away. Easier said than done, folks. Easier said than done. I'm telling you, you know, it's easy for us to sit up here and armchair quarterback these guys, but that track is tough. Those rhythm sections are gnarly. The whoops are obviously gnarly. This is why these guys are the best Supercross racers in the world. Not the United States, in the world are racing here at Monster Energy AMA Supercross.
Well, and I think that, you know, we're seeing 11 guys right here. Well, someone's going to go in, someone's not going to go in. The other 2 guys, you know, you got 20 and 20, that's 40, but you got to kind of get up there and
you got to go. You have only a certain amount of time on the track. Must be aggressive. Must get the rhythm sections down quickly. Oh, about landed off the track. He can recover with a pretty good square up in the corner, though. And race fans, what do the Yamaha YZ450F and Yamaha YZ250F have in common? They both won major motocross shootouts. See them at your local Yamaha dealer and YamahaMotorsports.com. And DC Shoes is proud to be the official footwear sponsor of AMA Supercross. Defy convention with DC Shoes. We just have about 2 minutes left to go here. 450 Group C qualifying. Got some more guests coming up on the show. See them just making their way over here by the set. Gonna be fun to talk to them. Interesting to see, you know, Elena Myers is gonna join us here in a little bit, and she is very unique in that she's the only female that has her name and that tunnel at Daytona Speedway.
Well, and she's got wins. I mean, that's the thing about it. I mean, she's already won races, and Vicky Golden, she's trying to make a night program, and then you got a lot of qualifying after that. You got to go through a heat race, last chance to get into the main event. It's going to be curious. We'll have to talk to Elena Meyer and see if you know, she went down and talked to Vicky Golden, and you know, see how she's you know, give her some pointers maybe on how it feels, you know, to
handle the
get
pressure,
that bike into the main event. But she handles good pressure there, and there's that sand section. I guarantee you, when we get Elena Meyer up on the show, I guarantee you she's got a motocross bike, and she rides motocross a little bit trained, because you can't take those road race bikes, and it's very hard to rent those tracks. They're very expensive, so I'm sure she does a lot of training on some of these.
Well, Miss Elena Myers, welcome to the show. Welcome to Race Day Live.
How are you guys?
We're good. We're good.
Awesome.
Now,
I like that grip.
I know, me too. I know.
Strong grip. Usually girls, but that's for hanging on to those motorcycles.
Heck yeah, you got to be strong.
You know, we were just talking about it. You know, you're the only female that's won a motorsports event on 2 wheels or any wheels at the Daytona Speedway. How cool is that? And what kind of honor is that to be there in the wall?
Yeah, that's really cool, and you know, that win was such a special day for me and for all women, and yeah, I'm still very excited about that, and yeah, just looking forward to getting my next win. It's been a while since that last one.
Well, tell us about your other win that you have. You know, the sprint race in Infineon in 2010.
Yeah, that was my first race. That was my rookie season, my 4th race in at my home track, and that was just such a special weekend for me because it was my grandfather's birthday when I won, and he was there, cool. And yeah, it's crazy just the fact that I was able to make history there for AMA for road racing, and yeah, this year I'm looking to make some more history, riding a superbike this year. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, that's the next step up for you. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it's a big part of what I've been wanting to do for so long. This is my sixth season as a professional, so really looking forward to this season. I got a new title sponsor, McGrath Power Sports,
right.
and yeah, starting my own team, that's another big thing for me. And just
Team 21 Motorsports. Yeah.
There we go. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to all that, and it should be a great year. And I can't wait to get on track in Austin with Moto America, and I think that should be just a great series for everybody, and I really look forward to seeing how they put on an event.
Someone that's helping out the series a lot, and a good friend of mine and an old teammate. He was on the road racing side of things. I was on Supercross, motocross, but Wayne Rainey.
Yeah.
I think that's huge to have Wayne Rainey over there and just getting more races and things like that. I know that there was kind of a little bit of a down, not so many races, but I think Wayne's going to build that series back up again.
He really is. Yeah, he's a legend, obviously, and yeah, to have anybody like that in our corner trying to build this series back to what it was 10, 20 years ago, and really get some young talent in there and work our way back up to have more U.S. riders in the Grand Prix.
Well, let me ask you this. I know, I come from the dirt track side of things when I was growing up, and do you dirt track a little bit?
I do a little dirt track.
Okay.
I got an RMZ 450 that I ride a bit, but I've been having a blast on my 100, just dirt tracking at Scott Russell's house all the time. He's here in Georgia, so I enjoy riding at his place, and yeah, that's mostly what I've been doing this off season as far as training. Obviously going to the gym too, but keeping sharp. Yeah. But that's what I've been doing, and just really staying busy trying to ride, and being a team owner now, I got a lot of other responsibilities as well. So
have you had a chance to go down the pits and talk to Vicky Golden? I mean, she's trying to do something that no woman has ever done before and qualify for a night show, and then after that you got to go through some heat races last chance. But I mean, her goal right now is just to get into the 40 fastest to make it into the show.
Yeah, no, that's so awesome and great for women in the sport of motocross. I know obviously that hasn't been done before, and it'd be great if she can do it here tonight. I know she hasn't had the best of luck these past few races, but I really hope that she can make it happen for women tonight. I mean, it's such a big thing. So yeah, I wish the best of luck to her, and hope she kicks the boys' butt.
Let me ask you this: you got Team 21 Motorsports there. Obviously, your number's 21. You rooting for Jason Anderson tonight? He's got 21.
Yeah, it's pretty cool seeing the number 21 out there, and yeah, I'm a big fan of his, and I just enjoy being out here and being around motorcycles again. It's been a while, so yeah, looking forward to having a good time tonight.
I like that 21. Will Davis used to run number 21.
Actually, it's for Troy Bayless.
Okay, Troy Bayless there. All right.
Yeah, he made a comeback last weekend too at Phillip Island.
How often do you come to Supercross to watch?
Well, I live in Atlanta now, so it's been easy for me now. Just come on down to the Dome, and but I haven't been last year, and it's been a little while, so I'm happy to be here this weekend. And yeah, I don't get to come here much, but I watch it on TV every weekend.
It's pretty cool looking at the action we have going on the track here. The little guys.
Yeah,
you started on 80s, right?
On a PW50.
Yeah,
that's where I got my start in a pocket bike. So yeah, I know it's so cool to see these little kids out here tearing it up, and obviously I know what it's like being there and being in front of the big crowd and all your favorite riders, and just being a big part of that is one of the coolest feelings. So I know they're having a great time, and yeah, look forward to watching that race too.
I got to go back a few weeks ago. We didn't get a chance to check out the entry list or whatever, but there was a little girl that competed out there. I think she got in the top 10 in the results, so that was pretty cool. So you're
awesome.
opening the doors for little girls all over the world.
Well, I really hope so. I just try to be an inspiration to everybody, and obviously if I can do that for girls, and I'm really pushing the girl power thing in women in sports, so that's kind of what I'm doing this year, and really hoping to do that with my step up to Superbike.
Well, it seems like you've had some success, and motorsports in general. Look at Danica Patrick on the pole of the Daytona 500. You're on the wall there at Daytona now. Vicky Golden's trying to make a night program. And understand you do some training and some coaching. Are you
a little
coaching?
bit, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Actually, it's coming up here in Georgia at Josh Herron's house at the Herron compound. We're doing an all-women's school on April 4th and 5th at his house, and it's just going to be 10 women on his go-kart track on 100. So it's just going to be real basic, but really get down in the nitty-gritty and the basic skills that these women need and every rider needs. But it's really cool to be able to have a small group of women that are just really there to focus on getting better and making that next step.
What would be that website for some of the women that are watching our show today and maybe they want to sign up for a future class or something?
I think you can, well, right now we've got it going on Facebook, but I think hairencompound.com should have all the information that you
right
need.
to the right way.
Tell us a little bit, you know, these two disciplines are very different. Supercross, we use our rear brake a lot. You guys don't touch your rear brake, do you, very much? Maybe controlling the spin? Okay, yeah, explain.
Mostly a little bit going in just to settle the rear a bit, but especially with this next step up for Superbike, for me, I'm going to be using it a lot to try to keep that front end down coming out of the corners. So that should be I'll definitely be using it a lot more this coming year, but yeah, it's something that we definitely use, but the front brakes are just so much more powerful.
Right.
This next question I'm going to ask you, you're going to watch your eyes light up, okay, on the camera as you look into the camera. But when I was racing, I was in Suzuka, Japan testing, okay? Eddie Lawson was riding, and Eddie's a friend of mine. Some of the Japanese engineers came over and they said, Jim-san, Eddie-san's over here at the road race. So I went over. I had an opportunity to ride one of the 500cc road race bikes. I turned it down. I was scared. You wouldn't turn it down, right?
I actually got a chance to ride the Suzuki 800 in 2011 at Indianapolis, and yeah, I got to do 5 or 6 laps there and got it up to 300 kilometers an hour. So that was an incredible experience that I'm really grateful I got to have. But it's really cool. You know, I had a lot of success with Suzuki, and now I'm going back to Suzuki again on the Gixxer 1000.
Any long-term goals for you? Maybe heading over to Europe or something? Is that something that you've kind of dreamed about and thought about?
Definitely. I think World Superbike would be, more my style at this point. I think getting into MotoGP, you really have to start Moto3, Moto2, and work your way up. I know there's definitely been a few people who've done it in more recent years, like Ben Spies, but yeah, it's such a hard step to make now, and these riders are groomed riding these tracks, and it's just really difficult. But yeah, I'd love to race in World Superbike, and with my team now, I'm really hoping to have this team going for the future, and hopefully my goal is for my team to be the one that everyone wants to ride for.
Absolutely.
Now, when do you start? I know Daytona next week for the Supercross guys, but they don't have that anymore. They start a little bit later. What is that date?
Yeah, it's April 10th at Austin, which is the MotoGP weekend. So that's our opening weekend. It's going to be one heck of a show, and then we're back here at Road Atlanta the following weekend.
All right, look at that camera and give some of your fans a shout out, because there's a lot of your fans that are rooting for you.
Yeah, there's so many of you guys. Thank you so much for all your support, and yeah, I really look forward to seeing you guys at the track this year.
No, real quick, you know, this is a big night. You picked a good race to come to, the Duel in the Dome. Chad Reed won last weekend. You've been following the series. Do you have a favorite rider?
Probably Ryan Dungey.
Well, hey, that's the point leader. Not bad at all.
Yeah, he's just a really down-to-earth guy. I haven't actually met him, but
very nice. What he seems like is what he's like.
Yeah,
very well.
And he's so smooth, and you can't even, you know, it's just flawless the way he rides, and I love that about him, and just in control.
Well, go up there and meet him and tell him you can beat him on a road race course. I guarantee you that.
Probably, but he'd definitely have no competition for me.
Well, Elena, it's been great having you. Thank you for coming up to the show.
Good luck to you this year.
We have some words from our sponsors coming up. Stay tuned. The AMSOIL products that help put racers in the winner's circle are the same products available to you. AMSOIL makes a full line of oils not only for your power sports toys, but also for the cars and trucks you drive. Choose AMSOIL Performance for any engine. DC Shoes is proud to be the official footwear sponsor of AMA Supercross. Defy convention with DC Shoes. We're back here in the Georgia Dome. Danny Boyer, Jim Hawley, and joining us from the Bleacher Report is Barrett Saleh. Thank you for coming to the show, man.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Now, let me ask you, Saleh or Saleh?
Saleh. Everyone gets it wrong. As long as you don't mix a curse word in there, too, usually we're okay.
All right. Just wanted to clarify that.
I cover college football for a living, so I get a lot of curse words on Twitter. So.
Very good. Well, you know, we've done a little bit of research on you. You're a big fan here. It says you've been to the Atlanta Supercross for 20 years.
I am. Actually, I've only missed 2 since 1982, and in the late 2000s. And I actually grew up riding. I raced from the time I was 5 till I was about 20. I actually raced back a long time ago. They used to do amateur day the morning of the event, and I raced here in '96, and Carmichael was in that race. He was way far away from me. I was way back in like 9th or 10th, and then I ended up getting a concussion here in my second race. So I raced a little bit. I follow it. I watch it every weekend. I try to tell my college football folks to turn it on and check it out, because I think one chance, if you give it a chance, you're going to love it.
Yeah, and look at what you're here for, throwback night. Everybody in different gear, different bikes. Chad Reed won last weekend. We got the Duel in the Dome coming up. Who do you think is going to win that?
Well, I don't really know. Judging from the way people ride, it's hard to go again. Dungey to me is so smooth in everything that he does, and I think that pays off. Chad has been inconsistent. Roczen all of a sudden is inconsistent.
Right. So Tomac's been inconsistent.
Tomac's been really inconsistent, and so I think I'm a Dungey guy. I like the way he rides. He rides like me. He doesn't really do dumb things, and if he does do dumb things, they're not really dumb, which is good life advice to live by always. And so I got to go with them.
I got to agree with you, and look at the fruits of his effort. He has a 25-point lead over Trey Canard. And speaking about Trey Canard, you just worked on a story with him. How did that go?
Good. I like Trey a lot. I know his backstory, and for a while, in the different outlets that I've worked for, especially in TV, we actually did our Southern Sports Report and our Arizona Sports Report out of our Atlanta studios back in the day. So I'd always work on some, Supercross stuff when they did that stuff to say, hey guys, let's not dumb this down to the lamest, or let's be smart about this. So I've been pushing a Trey Canard story for a while because of his faith and what he's been able to do and his injuries. It's a good story. It's a bad story. It's a tragic story. It's a great story. It has a lot of different elements, and finally I got to talk to him this week. I finally told the guys at BR to say, hey, look, go for it. We can't promise it's going to be on CNN or anything, but go ahead and do it. We like it. It's a good story, and you're a good writer. Go ahead and do that. And I think I'm going to be able to express it the way that I know what it is, and the insiders that know the sport are going to be like, oh, well, we've seen the story 1,000 times, but most people haven't. And I think my ability to sort of shape it in a way where people are going to get it. The average fan that really doesn't know anything about the sport is going to get it. I think it's going to come across really well, and hopefully it'll be something that people like. I think it's going to be a different article for our sport on our site. We usually don't go into that venue. We usually don't veer away from the quote-unquote traditional sports, but they'll let me try it and see if it works. And I'm going to take a ton of pride in it, and hopefully it works out well.
Oh, it sounds amazing. I'm sure it's going to be a great, great thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a great thing to see. Look at us on the Jumbotron. Joining us here, from the Bleacher Report.
We just put a little more pressure on you.
That's right. That's all right. I can handle it.
Wave to the fans. They're all starting to pour in here. And another story that's coinciding with this event is the NASCAR guys, and they're all on their way here. Do you follow that sport much? Or?
Yeah, I do. Actually, a couple friends of mine race, and actually a good friend of mine, David Reagan, is from here.
Big weekend for him.
Yeah, big weekend. He got a new ride. Yeah. So that's good. So yeah, I followed a little bit. I've been down there occasionally. I like that the spring race is back here. I don't like that it coincides with this because it sort of takes some attention away. But it's something I do follow. It's something that I keep an eye on, and certainly up until about mid-August, when I start to really have to focus on college football stuff, is when I sort of veer away from that.
Well, you talk about the college football. A lot of college athletes, they enjoy Supercross. You talk to them about it and say, hey, man, you ever see the Supercross guys here?
There are a couple guys that randomly will just message me on Twitter and say, hey, you got tickets? I'm like, well, no, but, but I'll talk to you about it all day long. There are some guys that'll randomly, Gabe Wright for Auburn was always kind of messaging me and saying, hey, did you see that race? I'm like, yeah, of course I did. He goes, don't you look great or whatever? So there are some guys that'll come up to me and say, I like the sport because you sort of turned me on to it. And, that's something that I kind of take pride in, because this is, honestly, this is my passion. I cover college football. I write about college football. I love college football. But, this is something that literally every weekend I'm tuning into. And, people that follow me on Twitter and see me talking about it, it kind of makes me happy to say, hey, look, you're the reason. And that's kind of why I keep doing it, even though, sometimes the people that don't really care kind of get annoyed.
That's me and Jim's goal. We're trying to, transmit our love of the sport through Race Day Live for the fans, and hope we get them all pumped up. And, we really want to be like the show that you're on, College Game Day. Tell us what that's like. That's so much energy.
Well, I haven't been on Game Day yet, but I have been on ESPN and SEC Network. But, it's an interesting sport. There's always something to talk about, and it sort of seems like now with the way the college football playoff has sort of evolved. It's always been a mainstream sport, but it's sort of has changed the narrative the last year. And so, it sort of keeps us on our toes. And I do go on CNN and talk a little bit about it because they own BR now. So Turner is a big part of what we do. And, going out and getting to do, the national championship game covering, I covered Auburn, Florida State a couple years ago. Those being around those players and that kind of atmosphere is something that is, it's hard to sort of wrap your arms around until you actually do it, because you go out there and you see, the security, you see 100,000 people, and you see, there's Kirk Herbstreit, there's Johnny Manziel, there's, all these superstars. You're like, wow, why am I sitting here? But it's something you sort of have to get used to. You have to do a job, and I hopefully, for me, I try to same way I sort of portray my love for Supercross when I'm talking about college football. I'm trying to let people know this is fun. Everything, sports are supposed to be fun. We don't have to take it so seriously.
Right. Well, the other thing I was going to ask you, seeing as how you cover college football, Ohio State, who's going to be their quarterback? Because I know Sarah Crowther, she's in our wheel call window, and she goes to Ohio State, and she was happy they won. And I asked her, hey, who's going to be your quarterback?
Before the national championship game, I would have said it had to be JT Barrett, because he was so good. People forget he was a legitimate Heisman finalist or a contender, and no one knew who he was in early August. And Cardell Jones, though, I think because he won the national championship, and B, he's the only one that's healthy during spring practice. I think that gives him a huge leg up, because he was awesome as a third-string quarterback with really no prep time. Now he's got basically 5 months of first-team snaps coming his way because the other two can't play. So when fall camp rolls around, just imagine how much better he's going to be. So I would say probably Cardell Jones. And, I mean, honestly, that team is just filthy.
It's a lot like Supercross. Supercross riders, they deal with a lot of injuries. Will Hahn's out right now. There's been so many guys that have been out, and you look at guys like Weston Pike that are out there riding. I'm sure he's not at 100%. Barsha's out. I mean, we have to deal with a lot of injuries on Supercross.
Well, Weston looked like 100% last week.
That's right.
I mean, he was on it last week. So,
fifth was good.
But it's unfortunate, and Dean Wilson too. That's the sport, though. I mean, it's you have to be on that edge. But sometimes when you go over the edge, sometimes you can recover. If you get out of sorts on a whoop section and recover, then you're okay. But one bad turn or one little bit of whiskey throttle, and your season's over.
You're Ken Roczen.
Yeah. Well, I was sitting right there when that happened last week in practice.
You still get a chance to go out and ride?
No,
no, what's up? You're such a fan.
Well,
you're covering the sport. You don't ride anymore?
That's a very complicated story that involves my 3.5-year-old and my wife. And my 3.5-year-old wants a 50, and I said, if he's getting a 50, I'm getting a 250F. And so that's a constant battle. But actually, I hung up the boots in 2000. There's a track called Monster Mountain out between Auburn and Montgomery in Alabama, and if you clear the top of the mountain, there's a little kicker jump. You clear the top of the mountain, you sail 160 feet, and I could never do it. So one time, I finally just, said, whatever, I'm just going to do it. Laid back on the throttle, little boulder at the base of the jump, flew off the back of the bike, flew about 160 feet, landed, tire spin, and broke my tailbone, broke my arm, got a concussion, and then had to have a donut for my broken tailbone around a college campus for 4 months, and that's when you show up to a college party with a donut to sit on,
it's a little rough.
It doesn't really work out very well.
Yeah. You talk about college football, I think of parity. I think of all those teams that are so evenly matched. Look at our 250 class. Yeah. Look at the race we had last weekend, a 4-rider freight train. You have Joey Savacci in 5th that had a bad start. He's talking about jumping in the middle of that. Marvin Muskin, Jeremy Martin, defending champion Justin Bogle. It's going to be a good show tonight. Who do you think of those 4 or 5 guys is going to be the heat here?
I think it's Davalos, just because he was really good today, and no one really saw him until all of a sudden he was leading last week. He was like, where'd that come from? Right. But he looked really good in practice, and I think I was sitting there watching mostly Jeremy Martin and a little bit of Justin Bogle in practice, and all of a sudden I keep seeing Davalos up there at the top. I'm like, well, what is he doing? And he kept putting down consistent laps. I mean, this is the kind of track to me where it's where last week you had that quad coming out of the whoops where only a couple guys were doing that. Everyone's basically doing all of the obstacles here.
Yes.
There's not anything that really separates anybody, so it's about consistency. And I mean, Davalos looked really consistent in practice, and so did Musquin. But I mean, I was really impressed.
Well, and the thing about Davalos last weekend, if you remember, you know, the inconsistency in that one timing section where he couldn't get up on top of that step on, step off, that cost him. If he could have did that every lap, I think he might have won last week.
I agree. I mean, that was a great 250 main last week, and I think this track, you know, for both classes, I think it is so technical and so, I mean, tough. I mean, the sand coming off the bridge, I mean,
unbelievable.
There was like a crash a lap during practice, so it's going to be a fun night. I can't wait to watch it.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's a good pick. Martin Davalos got his first career victory here last year.
Yep.
And you know, he was well on his way last week, and it's, you know, it's something like me and Jim were talking about. When you get in the lead and it's been a while and you've had an injury, sometimes you start thinking, you start counting lap 7, lap 8, and then those guys start coming.
Right.
You see the little mistakes with not making it on top of the tabletop.
Yeah.
It's a great pick. Martin looks fast today. They all look fast. Bogle needs to win. You know, he wasn't happy about his third. I can't wait to see the 250 class.
Yeah, Bogle actually, I was surprised. He finished, what, 9th in qualifying earlier? And honestly, last week when I was watching practice, he didn't look that fast either, but then the main comes on, and it clicks.
Well, and we talked to a lot of riders about that. You know, some riders, if they don't see their, you know, number up on that Monster Energy leaderboard, they're upset. Yeah. But a guy like Bogle, hey, you know what, I'm not getting paid to have the fast time or anything like that. I get paid to win races, so he'll be strong come main event time.
Yeah, it should be fun. I mean, this track is going to make it a lot of fun. It's going to be, you know, I think one of those things where you're going to see some lead changes and not really passing. I think you're going to see a lot of just inconsistency, people making mistakes, and just, you know, it's not, you know, people, you know, going fast. I think you're going to see, you know, coming off this tunnel, you're going to see a couple mistakes. You're going to see people kind of get caught. You're going to see people be able to miss obstacles. It's not going to be necessarily, you know, bar to bar passing. It's just going to be, you know, where's the mistake going to come and how bad is the mistake going to be? And if it's bad enough, then you may end up 20th.
Excellent observations. You know, me and Jim were just talking about that 5 minutes ago. It's going to be the small things, putting sections together, not making big mistakes, getting through the whoops clean. It's going to be a great race. And Barrett, we really are happy to have you come on Race Day Live.
Keep up the good work.
Keep up
Thank
the
you,
great
guys.
work.
You guys as well. I watch every week, so thank you guys so much.
Thanks a lot. We'll keep digging. You know, and speaking of that, you know, we had the NASCAR guys that are coming here to join us this weekend. And last week, Fox Sports caught up with Ricky Carmichael and Kevin Harvick and seeing what it was like to hang out with those two guys.
We were basically really tight from when he gave me the opportunity to drive for him when he owned KHI.
I've been telling him that I was going to come out for years.
Yeah,
finally all worked out. You know, I've ridden a motorcycle once in my whole life. We went on a trail ride, and I went off the edge of the cliff, and I've never been on one since. I was about 18.
Now you know how I felt driving four wheels.
Into the wall goes the board. We see the damage of that number 4 of Ricky Carmichael. Just as we had mentioned, he was staying in the game, and this takes place.
He did a lot for me when he didn't have to. Did some things out of his he did some things out of his pocket, and I noticed that.
I mean, having him a part of our company was a big deal. At that point, we were kind of on the fringe of either making it or breaking it. But when these guys came on board with Ricky and Monster, it added a new step of credibility with a name that everybody knew.
The 30 of Todd Bodine challenging for that 6th spot. Ricky Carmichael holding it. Ricky Carmichael with a great start. Started 4th today.
I probably never told you, but one thing I always loved about the opportunity I had when I was at KHI is everything had to be perfect. You ran your operation, you know, there was zero tolerance. And knowing how I am now with the whole RCH race team, you know, we try to have that mentality.
That stems from how he used to ride and what he expected out of himself and the bike and the people around him.
Do you know what Mr. Ricky's nickname is? It's the GOAT.
Greatest of all time. Because he's pretty darn good.
You got to do something where you're not constantly pulling a wheelie. Because when you're pulling a wheelie, you're slowing down. That's what I was thinking.
He's going to win the race and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. California's Kevin Harvick does it.
Good job, guys. This is unbelievable. What a year.
After you won your first one, did the next ones come easier or harder?
I think for me, yeah, I thought the other ones were mentally easier. He knows I'm happy for him, you know what I mean? I
told me all I had to do was switch the number.
Well, no, I told him, and so when you got that number 4, I said, Bud, you got some big shoes to fill.
Don't mess it up.
That number's used to going fast.
For us in the car world, that's how he refers to it, the car world. When you push things too far, you back it in the wall, and you know, they cut some metal off. And these guys, if you want to try to push something and you make a mistake, it's a collarbone or an arm or a leg. You don't just have one wreck like you do in our world and get another car out the next week and go again, because they only have one body.
You want to try it?
No. I'm 0 for 1. I don't want to be 0 for 2, because then I'll be out of a job. This has disaster written on it.
Okay, nice and easy.
You gonna race Daddy?
Ready? Almost lost it. I can tell you one thing. It won't be me teaching him how to ride that motorcycle. Oh no.
Daddy doesn't know what he's doing.
Keelan, that whole throttle in the hand thing, not working for me.
Hello, folks. Join us now is Ryan Blaney. Welcome to Race Day Live.
Yeah, thanks, guys,
Good
for
to see
having
you,
me.
Ryan.
And, it's really neat to be out here in Atlanta. And unfortunately, I'm not racing this weekend, but it's great to come out here and watch the Monterey Supercross. So.
Well, I tell you what, you were racing last weekend in the Daytona 500. You know, that was your first one. You're out there. You know, you guys were 3 wide, 7 deep. That was one of the most exciting 500s we've seen in years. Tell us about what it was like to compete in that thing.
Yeah, it was great to be able to go out there and make my first 500, and then to do it for the Wood brothers too. To do it for Leonard and Glenn Wood. That was really special to me and my family. It's been great to get to know everybody over on the Wood brothers, and it's really special to me. So we're excited to go racing in Vegas next weekend and see what we can do there.
You know, there's something interesting. You're number 21. I remember when Buddy Baker was number 21 driving for the Woods brothers, and you're only 21 years of old, and you're out there in that Daytona 500.
Yeah, it's pretty special, and it's funny how things line up. And you know, next year when I'm 22, I'll be driving the discount tire car still and be rooting for Chad still. So it's
22,
funny.
yeah.
I'm in the right age range, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, man, your Xfinity car is number 22, and you know, Chad's 22. He won last weekend. Discount Tires got to be stoked. The stars are all aligning, man.
Yeah, Discount Tire is a great company for us, not only on Team Penske and the Xfinity side, but on this side also. And they've done a couple great events where they've gotten all their riders and drivers together, and we can all meet each other and kind of get a taste of each other's world. And that's how I learned a lot about Supercross is talking to Chad and being able to learn a lot about it. So Discount Tire is a great company, and we're really lucky to have them.
This is your first Supercross you're going to see live, correct?
Yeah, it is. I've been a huge fan for 3 or 4 years and never been able to get out to one, and luckily it worked out for me this weekend to where I could come to this and be here early to see the racetrack and see all the preparation that goes into it. It's a lot more preparation than we have on our NASCAR tracks, actually, because we go to a set racetrack, and you guys are building new ones every single weekend. So it's a lot different, but it's cool to see the different world.
Well, what do you think of our retro track with the over and under and the sand they kind of threw in there and things like that? It makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah, I love the over-under. 2 sand sections, that's going to be really tough, and I definitely think we're going to see a lot of action in those spots. So really looking forward to tonight's race, and hopefully Chad can get the Discount Tire bike in victory lane again.
That's awesome. Let's do some crossover stuff here. You know, this is new to you, but you're new to a lot of these fans that are here tuning in right now. You're a quick study. You just recently won your first races of your career a couple years ago. Tell us about what that was like.
Yeah, it's great. You know, whenever you come into the sport young and other drivers don't really know what to expect, and you're just really fortunate to get the opportunity. You know, it happens here too, and
right.
You see a lot of young drivers or riders coming in too, and really proving themselves. You saw Roczen as a rookie in the 450s won the first race last year, and it kind of related to my deal over there, and you gain a lot of respect from veterans that way, and just really fortunate to be with a great team like Team Penske and putting me in situations where I can do that.
Yeah, I know Chad Reed, he drives go-karts and things like that. He's got a little track. Did he ever ask you, hey man, you can ride my bike, let me drive your car a little bit?
I need to. Yeah, I need to. We might have to do a crossover day. I'm not the best on 2 wheels. I actually had a wreck as a kid on a dirt bike, and that kind of scarred me for life of riding them. I ride them for fun every now and then, but we'll definitely have to do a crossover day. I don't know if I'll be hitting all these jumps, but I could definitely ride in a straight line.
Well, a roll cage and a set of 4 tires is definitely working out for you. So let's just keep that going. But it's cool. You come from a family background. Your father, Dave Blaney, was a Cup driver and a sprint car racer, and Jeremy McGrath, actually, he's the greatest Supercross racer of all time, got in a sprint car this weekend. Did you happen to see that?
I didn't.
Yeah, he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He was keeping the throttle there. Not as fast as your dad, though.
I'll have to ask him about
the
that
Buckeye
if I ever
Bullet.
see him.
Yeah,
Buckeye Bullet. Yeah, sprint cars, that's one relationship we've got with dirt. And, my dad did that for a long time. He actually migrated back to that here over the past couple of years. He kind of got out of NASCAR and is building his own sprint cars and racing them. And I've never really gotten into those either. Actually, the day I signed my contract with Penske, they said no sprint cars, so that kind of threw it out the window. But he loves doing that, and that's pretty neat. I'll have to ask McGrath about that.
Is that a key when you sign a lot of contracts? That hey, no sprint cars. I mean, there are a lot of rules in that. I know sometimes Supercross guys, they have
no four-wheelers.
Yeah, no four. We want you to focus on what you're doing.
Yeah, that's in a lot of contracts now. You see, some guys getting hurt in sprint cars, and even other forms of it doesn't even have to be motor vehicle wise. It's just doing other, snowboarding or anything like that. And that is a clause in our contracts of, that's our job, is to race in NASCAR. And if we get hurt doing something else, that looks really bad. So that's most of the reason why we don't do any of this stuff. But that's why we do it. So we're fortunate enough to have a contract that can say we can't do it.
Yeah, things have changed. I remember you raced with my brother, and in 2004 when he first came over, him and Carl and Casey and Robbie Gordon were all riding motocross and stuff, and I was all stoked for him. And I came out a few years later and was like, "Where's the dirt bikes?" They're like, "They're gone."
We sold them all. Yeah.
Well, you've definitely picked a great race to come to. It's throwback night. Look at Jim's old program here from '85.
Yeah, '85.
Yeah, that's really nice.
You probably weren't even born in '85, right?
That was about 8 years before I was around, but. No, it's great. It's cool that everyone is throwback, and NASCAR is actually doing a throwback race this year too at Darlington, South Carolina, and
perfect.
We got a really neat Penske, and we're going to do a Pearson car, I think, for it. So
nice.
We're really excited for that race, and that's one thing we can look forward to. But I think it's going to be a great race tonight. We're really excited to be here.
He won some races in that 21 car.
Yeah,
David Pearson.
He did. So we're hopefully I can repeat that, especially at Darlington too.
Southern 500. That's going to be great. It's got to feel good to be able to race in that thing.
Yeah, like I said, being able to ride for the Wood Brothers, it's been great for me, and just my family too. It's funny how our families kind of relate, and me coming from a racing background, them coming from a racing background, it's kind of cool how we all got along and meshed really well together. And that's, I think, why we get along so well is all we care about is racing and doing the best we can. So they've been great people to me. They're a great team, and being around for 65 years, that's amazing. And in any kind of sport, no matter what it is. So we've been really fortunate to be with them, and hopefully we'll be able to run with them for a while.
It's a common question with motocrossers when I try to explain to them that you guys are athletes, and these guys are peak athletes, cardiovascular. They have to ride their motorcycles. They go to the gym. You guys got to do a lot of that too. Tell us about how hot it's in that car and how hard it is to concentrate for 500 miles in 140-degree temperatures inside the roll cage.
Yeah, it gets very hot on our hottest days, and we do a lot of physical training, but it's a lot of mental training too. And being able to concentrate for 4 hours, in a race is very tough. And that's a big part of our program, but these guys are a lot more physically fit than we are, and I couldn't go out there and do this for 20 laps as long as their feature is. So these guys are incredible to me, and they're just amazing athletes, but maybe we can learn something from them someday.
Well, talk a little bit about how the sport's changed. I mean, back when I rode, the training back then versus now, it's the same in NASCAR, correct?
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely the same in NASCAR. You see a lot of guys nowadays really take physical fitness into effect, and it does make a difference. It makes a big difference, so you can hang on to the race car longer, hang on to the bike longer. It's a really big difference, and like I said, mental preparation also is very huge for us. And we're not lifting 300 pounds over our heads, but it's a lot of inner core stuff, and while we're sitting in the car, and a lot of hydration, just like these guys. So it's definitely come a long way, and it really makes a difference.
The thing that always blew me away about NASCAR racing, when Carl Edwards, when he'd get out and he'd do a backflip, I'm thinking, man, you're going to bust your butt one of these times. I mean, you talk about you're tired, it's 140 degrees in there, but I mean, after he wins, does he still do that backflip, or is he getting older? Really?
Yeah, he still does it. I think he'll do it for as long as he's racing. So that's amazing. I don't know how I would have liked to see the first time he practiced that, if he was sketched out by it or not, or just did it. So I don't think I can ever do that. So
well, the reason why I was asking, when in Arlington, when Dungey won, he did a heel clicker, and everyone's going, "Wow, Dungey pulled that out."
Yeah.
And you got to have a little fun with it.
Yeah, you got to have fun. That's why we do it, just to have fun. You know, that's how you get into it. It's because it's fun, and then it kind of becomes to do a job. But you always have to remind yourself that, hey, this is fun, and this is what you really want to do. And if you're not having fun doing it, then there's no reason to do it. And that's why any athlete plays their sports or races or rides. It's just because you love it and you have fun doing it. So you always got to bring out the fun factor every now and then. So.
Well, that's why Andy and I still do Race Day Live. We're still having fun, and we're big fans. I mean, we just enjoy the sport.
Yeah, I all of us, I know a lot of NASCAR guys are coming out here tonight to watch the race, and it's cool to see how many of you guys are fans of NASCAR and vice versa. We love the sport, and if you're a racer in anything, you just love racing overall, and you love engines and things going fast, and no matter what form of motorsport it is, you love it. So whenever we get a chance to come and see you guys, if we're close, it's cool how the weekend's worked out to where a lot of us can come out.
Very well spoken, Ryan. It's the same way for me. Last week, me and Jim did our show, and I had a 5 a.m. flight, and the first thing I could do was try to go watch you guys. And I was tired, but once you guys fired off and you're 3 wide, 7 deep, I'm like, I'm glad I'm here, man. This is awesome. But hey, man, thanks for joining us on Race Day Live. We hope you have a really good time
luck
tonight.
this year.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And we're going to roll away here with some word from our sponsors. Andy Boyer with Race Day Live, presented by AMSOIL. We're here with Davey Millsaps. Davey, it seems like you're back, man. You kind of had a slow start, but you're putting it up in the top 5 in qualifying. You're running in a podium position last weekend. You got a little tire tap from Canard, but you feel better. You ready to get back into the top 3?
I mean, I'm definitely feeling a lot better. I feel more like myself every week that goes by. But obviously, I did lose a lot. I lost a lot of endurance and just being in shape. But that all comes with trying to race my way back into shape and week in and week out of getting prepared and doing everything I'm able to do now to where I couldn't do it in the past. And obviously, the last couple weekends haven't really gone my way, but I feel good that my speed's somewhat back and my endurance is somewhat back. So hopefully we can do something here in Atlanta.
Yeah, and you're getting some good starts, which of course this season, man, you got to get the good starts. Let's go back a little bit. 2008, Georgia Dome.
Yeah.
You win your first career Supercross. You remember what that was like?
I actually do. I was when they tweeted about it the other night, I started thinking about, I replayed the whole entire race in my head, and I almost lost it with a couple laps to go, but all in all, it was definitely a good feeling. It was a good weekend, and it was nice to do it in front of a lot of my family and a lot of my friends that were here, and that was hard to beat. Well,
years down the road, they're all going to be here again. You're kind of got your mojo back. You got to feel good coming into the weekend.
No, I do feel good. A lot of my family came up from Orlando. I have a lot of friends that are here, and just everyone that's here that knows I'm a Georgia boy, and hopefully they'll be rooting for me. So hopefully I can put on a good show for them and do the best I can. That's why we're here every weekend. And it would have been a lot easier to give up in the beginning of the season, knowing that I came in with my hands tied behind my back. Yeah. But I knew that I had to push through it and keep fighting, and hopefully sometime during the season I'll be back. So hopefully I'll get there.
Well, it was pretty wild last weekend, man. You're riding good. You're up in the top 3. Clicking off laps, and all of a sudden Larry Lupout just raw. Did you know he hit you, or did you think what happened?
At that moment, I was not really worried about anyone or anything. I couldn't really see when I stood up. It was kind of dark. I had a massive headache, and so I walked back over, and that's when they told me that he had clipped my rear wheel. So I went back and I watched the film and watched a ton of different angles, and you can see where he barely tapped me, but I'm kind of still in the air, and when he ran up, it just drove my rear wheel to the ground.
Yeah, it's just the perfect storm.
And you can see when his front wheel goes crooked and he messes up, and that kind of gives it away also. So, I mean, it definitely was a bummer, but it obviously wasn't intentional, and you can't be mad at him for trying to go.
Right. Well, it's good to see you back up there in the top 3. We got to get these guys separated a little bit up at the front. So jump in there, and good luck this weekend in the next 2 races, here at Atlanta. What do you think about the dual weekends? It's going to be pretty sweet.
Dual in the dome. Yeah. It'd be nice to walk away with that trophy. But I think it's cool. I've been wondering why there hasn't been 2 Atlantas, since the whole time I've been racing. The first one sells out, and it's such a big and cool stadium that I never realized or did anything outside the dome, and then being here for press day, you're able to go adventure and stuff like that. It's an awesome place, and I don't know why we don't do more over here.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Davey Millsaps, number 18, dual in the dome, local guy. Keep your eye on him. Always cool to hear from Millsaps there. You know, it's really cool to hear from Ryan Blaney. Very well-spoken kid. He's got a really bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, I think that if you look at it, a lot of the NASCAR guys, they have to be well-spoken because there's a lot of dollars in there with sponsorships, and you can't leave out any of your sponsorship. It was nice to see him with the Discount Tires
team
T2
shirt,
motor shirts. I think that was pretty cool. Chad Reed gave him one. I think it's ironic that, you know, they're not more on a motorcycle. I got to talk to some of those owners, man. Let them get on a motorcycle once in a while.
It's pretty cool. NASCAR makes all those guys go through media training, so they're ready to speak when they go in. You know, but that's kind of what we do with Supercross now with the AMSOIL Arena Cross Series. You know, those guys get to do interviews on the podium. They get to learn what it's like to represent sponsors and represent themselves as a brand. So it's pretty cool. I love the crossover there. What I really love is the theme for this weekend.
Yeah, Retro Night. It's
That's
pretty
it.
cool. I mean, it's nice to see. I mean, I actually, Johnny Staggs, a friend of mine in Waverly, Tennessee, he still had the original cover from 1985 cover. And you know how I know Supercross is growing? Just look at the difference of the books here, you know, and how heavy are. There's a shot of it right there that we had scanned earlier, but
that was your year, man. 85 World Champion.
Yeah. It's just, that was I didn't. That's back when we had 2 main events. I mean, you got to look at. There's a list of the top 100 numbers there, and I think I was 24 that year. But you know, it was interesting because we had 2 12-lap main events here. So I think that was pretty cool for the fans. They tried it. They're always trying different things in Supercross to make the fans, enjoy the racing better.
That was awesome. You know, number 12.
Wow, look at that.
Got Rick Ryan, Bob Hurricane Hand, George Holland.
Yeah, there's Mickey Diamond, and then he was riding a Husky then. And actually, in the program, it's interesting that there was an ad from Husky, and now we got Husky back again with Martin Davalos and Jason Anderson and Danny Storbeck's there, George Holland, myself. Yeah, it was pretty cool back in those days.
Absolutely super cool. Look at the old scorecard.
Yeah, that was inside the program. That was pretty cool that the fans, and we don't have that. Maybe they'll go back to that, and kind of the fans can write down their favorite riders and see where they placed in their heat races and semis. And like you said, there was 2 main events there, but pretty cool.
Absolutely, very cool. You know, another thing that's really cool is this KX500 behind us. I mean, look at all the different works parts on this thing.
Yeah, Alex Moros, the Legends and Heroes, he kind of loaned that to us to bring it up on the set, and I was just amazed on all the work stuff that he had. I was telling him that, hey, where'd you get those works radiators from? And the other thing on the other side, the ignition cover, that's a works cover there, but and a lot of those are magnesium. So it's pretty cool that Alex, he does so much to, preserve the sport of Supercross and where it came from in the old days. If you're down in the pits, make sure you check out the Legends and Heroes display because it's pretty neat to go through that. I've been around a long time and I've seen a lot of the bikes, but I still each and every week I like to go over there and look at them, and I'm in awe. And like I said, with the program, here's that Husky ad that I was talking to you about. There's the ad for Husqvarna back in 1985, and they still have ads. And this thing's thick and
perfect
heavy.
Perfect bound.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, the graphic designs, the morning show here. I wonder if these people are still doing the morning show here in Atlanta. But just pretty cool, interesting. I want to thank Johnny Skaggs for, I was at his house in Waverly, and he had it. He says, hey, you want to take this? I said, absolutely, I'm going to take it to Retro Night. Are you kidding me? But I got to make sure I mail that back. I can't leave it here, But we're going to take a look now, and I think we got some photos of you, Andy, up there.
Yeah, I've been around a while.
Look at that, 77.
Yeah, 1995 that was right there. So it's about the peak of the dream.
You still have that gear? You kept that gear?
Actually, I do have a jersey
okay.
From that year.
Cool.
And that was Ponca City right there. I actually won the 250A class. Things were good. It's hard to complain. All we did was race dirt bikes and practice. And that KX 250 right there. And oh man, there's my current bike. It's a retro bike that's supposed to look like a 1982 YZ 250. And
the other side that looks like it says Boyer on the back, but that looked kind of like Kevin Windham's gear back in '96, '97 there.
Those are the Arena Cross days. That was a lot of fun. Denny Stevenson, Buddy Antonez, Chad Pedersen, Mad Mike Jones, myself. Clifford Adoptante, best times of our life, man. And it's crazy to see how time has its way with this and how quickly we've gone. Look at my retro bike there from 82 to 09, from 96 or 97 till right now. It's just like a flash. So there you go, right there.
Yeah, there's an old Yamaha autograph stock.
Did you do that on purpose?
Oh yeah, that was I love to flip the bike sideways for photos and things like that. But
autograph stock.
Yeah, that was the autograph stock. Now they got big posters and they got big 18-wheelers hauling the bikes around. We were in a box van, and I think the mechanics back then had it a little bit. They had to drive the box van and get the bikes ready. They were the suspension guy, the motor guy. It was a lot of work back then.
Looks like Palm Avenue maybe in the cliffs.
No, that's actually, I think actually behind my house in Chatsworth. I think after I did that, I actually had to go outrun a cop because he came and we got out of there. But
You've never outran any cops, Jim, have you? Yeah. Oh, look at there. Wow.
Well, you talk about retro. I mean, that's 1984 YZ125, and Rick Simon and Tom Webb and the guys, they said, hey, you want to jump one of these things, reading a magazine? I said, yeah, I can do it. And so they stapled some cardboard so it wouldn't fold over, and yeah, away you go. And that was out at Indian Dunes a long time ago. And then that's the LA Coliseum when I won the World Supercross Championship back in 1985. And I don't even think I can fit in that jersey anymore.
Well, I saw some stats on your bio there in that program. I wasn't going to go there, but you're still looking good, man. You're still riding. Here bringing you guys. Oh, wow. Look at that from Daytona.
Yeah, that was a heat race win in Daytona, and I think I finished up 4th that year in Daytona, and I'll never forget that race because Glover ended up 3rd, and we went out to dinner after. He goes, hey, you made more money than me, and he was a factory rider, and I was a supported rider, a semi-factory ride, and he said, and I made it on YZ bucks back then.
Yeah.
I mean, YZ buck program, that's when it first started on that contingency, and it kind of opened the door up. And we talk about the guys now when they make the main events here tonight and they get in. There's a lot of contingency from the manufacturers that pay out. But yeah, that was a good win for me. I really enjoyed Daytona. I think it was one of the roughest things, and 40 riders started in the main event back in those days in Daytona. So that was a little bit different back then. I remember we saw Gary Bailey here earlier, and he's working with Cooper Webb and the guys, and he actually designed the track. And one year we were down there, he put telephone poles and then put the dirt over
for
whoops. And we were busting. I think we had the Z-spoke pattern on the Yamahas, and we were everyone was busting wheels because we'd go into the whoops and just hit them, and it was just like hitting, logs.
Because you were hitting logs.
Yeah, that's true.
No,
but those were fun times. I mean, I really enjoyed racing there, and that's why, I was a privateer, I was a factory guy, so I saw both sides of it like everybody else, but it's pretty cool. And we're going to take a look at some fans that listen to the show and some of their throwback pictures. Now, that's an Ace 100 Hodaka, and that is cool that guy has that. That bike's worth a little bit of money. I don't even know if I'd be riding it right now, but that's pretty cool that he sent that out into us.
Old school as it gets right there. Wow.
This is what it's all about, having fun with your buddies out on the track. I remember that Suzuki, that's the Mark Barnett, Kent Howerton era there in the early 80s, but that was pretty cool that those guys are out there just having a little bit of fun there, and that's what it's all about, having fun.
That was a special machine, huh, Jim?
Oh yeah, it was a great machine that Suzuki. It was that year there. I mean, Suzuki dominated.
Michel Rinaldi over in the GPs.
Yeah, it was a great motorcycle. I mean, I got a chance to ride it. One thing that when I was racing, I did a lot of Dirt Bike Magazine, High Torque publications, a lot of testing. So I got an opportunity to ride a lot of the other manufacturers' motorcycle. And that was a great bike.
Super cool old school picture right there. Wow, that's a 70s Yamaha right there, it looks like.
Yeah, and I recognize the jersey, Crown Cycles from Rosemead, California. I remember, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, Mark, and it'll come to me, but Sue Fish actually rode, and she was one of the pioneer women racing in the 70s and 80s, and she rode for Crown Cycles, so that's a pretty cool shot there. And look at the old Scott face mask there. That's pretty cool.
Had about 5 inches of travel instead of 20 inches of travel back then.
Well, that and no disc brakes, no water cooling, things like that. I mean, we can go on and on. Those were 2 strokes. Now they're racing 4 strokes. But I'm just a big fan of the sport, and and I enjoy watching the evolution of it and how it grows each and every year.
Yeah, it's great. You know, we're both big fans of the sport. If you're watching on the Jumbotron, I know you're a big fan of the sport. And if you are, you've seen the Behind the Dream, Monster Energy Behind the Dream series. We have show number 4 coming up. Very cool, easily relatable here to Atlanta because it's about Davey Millsaps and his training at home with his family and just what goes into his program that gets him to the races here. And it was a great show. It's going to air tomorrow. Here's a preview.
On the next episode of Behind the Dream, we get an intimate look into the life of one of the sport's elite riders, Davey Millsaps. Millsaps is in top shape and ready to compete all the way to Vegas. And he's leaving it all out on the track. As he opens up the doors to his home, we'll discover what drives this fierce competitor and father of 2 toward the ultimate goal of the Monster Energy Supercross Championship.
We want to thank all you folks for coming in here to the Georgia Dome. What you're seeing is a lot of work on the track. They've completely smoothed out all the sand section, smoothed out the jumps and ruts. Tell us, Jim, what else have they done out there to the track?
Well, the guys, you know, they're coming up for their final time practice, and usually, traditionally, we see the times a little bit faster in the second go-around. And it's the Feld track crew. They do such a great job on getting this track prepared each and every time for these guys. And they'll go and redo this after these next qualifying sessions. They'll get it prepared for opening ceremonies, and it'll be perfect. But like you said, that sand, you know, they got to bring it back in because it's been pushed away. You don't want to get down to the plywood. They want to have the they want to have the best track for the fans so they can watch the best racing.
They do a lot of stuff with the tracks. We had a special Fox piece to show you some more things, some more tricks to make these tracks come together.
It's the one thing each rider must manage on race day. And while it's the same for everyone, each competitor takes their own unique approach to it. Of course, we're talking about the racetrack. 6,000 cubic yards of dirt, pushed, prodded, molded, and shaped into almost half a mile of racing perfection. A typical Supercross track has over 40 obstacles from start to finish. These jumps, bumps, and turns are made of all-natural organic terrain. That's dirt to you and me. And with each passing lap of competition, the track shifts and changes. The fast line on lap 3 could be gone by lap 5. It's the most challenging and unique racing surface in motorsports.
And back here on the track in the Georgia Dome, we have 250C group qualifying number 3. This is it. Last chance to see if Vicky Golden's going to make it into the night show. It's going to be tough. The track's tough this weekend. Those are really tough right there. Those whoops. That's one thing they didn't work on during the track prep right there. So those are still going to be nasty.
Well, you're going to see some of the turns with some of the ruts still in them. I mean, they don't have a lot of time to address the track, but I guarantee you after the final time practice, they'll go out there and they'll rework the whole thing there. But they do such a great job for the amount of time that they have.
Right. Got a lot done in a little bit amount of time. And folks, we want to welcome Justin Brayton back to the show, back by popular demand. Welcome back, dude.
Yeah, great to be back. I had a blast last week, so thank you guys.
Track looks pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, you know what's cool is from last week, it's a totally different track this week. So we're going to see, maybe different guys at the front. Chad Reed came out in the first practice, like super confident.
Top of the board.
Yeah, top of the board, and he was looking really good. So I think it's awesome to come out and see a totally different track for the fans, and it's going to be a fun night.
I got to ask you a question. We saw Andrew Short out there. He's got the same color boots on, and he changed up.
Yeah, it looked like he got some new boots from Alpine Star this week, and he's actually not feeling that great. I think he's got a little bit of food poisoning, so unfortunately he's kind of down and out and trying to get some rest in the truck. But I've had food poisoning before, and it is no fun.
Yeah, that was kind of a superstitious thing with him.
No fun for that guy hitting that Parks Unlimited tough luck right now either. Yeah. He looks like he's up and okay though.
With Short, I was saying with Short wearing the different color boots and being superstitious there. Do you have any weird things you wear any old gloves or?
Not really. I've had, throughout my career of putting this knee brace on first or something like that, but yeah, I try not to get too caught up in it. Right when I catch myself, I'm like, nah, that's not going to matter how fast I'm going to go tonight or what place I'm going to get. So try not to get too wrapped up in that.
Well, one of the big stories here, Justin, is Vicky Golden trying to make the night show. And let's see, she's out there right now. It's going to be a good opportunity for her because they just prepped the track, and tell us how you can get a better lap when they do that.
Yeah, so right now they went out and totally redid most of the corners. They left the whoops, which seem like to be the toughest part of this track tonight. But if you can just manage getting through those and really drill your corners, I think you can definitely put a fast lap down. And it's a little bit of an advantage to be in this practice right after they've prepped it. You know, the skid steer track's still in the corners, so there's tons of grip. And even from last week to this week, it looks like, to me, there's a little more traction. I don't know if you guys think that, but the dirt looks good tonight.
Yeah, we've been talking about it all, you know, the whole show, how much more moisture.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't take us long to figure that out. When me and Jim were down there doing our track facts last night, we were up to the top of our shoes in mud, and I was like, well, I don't think they want it dry this time.
Yeah.
Are you surprised we're getting a chance here as we're watching Vicky Golden? You got to downside that, but there's consequences if you double bounce going in. I mean, that's a tight left-hander, and you're in the sand there. We saw a lot of guys wash that front end out there.
Yeah, and on the bridge jump, the over/under, it's really hard to see on TV, but the downside is actually really, really steep. Actually, my very first Supercross in 2004, they had one, and I was walking the track, and I was scared to death to jump it, because I'm like, if I case it, I'm going over the bars. If I over jump it, it's not going to be good either. Right. So now you got to downside it just perfect and set up for the sand. So that's going to be difficult.
Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When Andy and I were out there doing our track walk feature, I had to have him help me get up. It was so steep. I was sliding down, and I'm going, you know what? You just got to hit this thing perfect. I mean, it's almost perfect. You got to land, let the suspension collapse. As it's collapsing, you're applying the front brake, and it's a hard section tonight right there.
Yeah, it really is. And that's the difference between, you know, in practice right now, you see Vicky just jumping on top. That's going to cost her probably at least a second. So if you can downside it just perfect, that's the difference between a few tenths and being first or fifth.
Well, and the other thing, too, is we're looking at Taylor Potter there from Australia. He's setting a 104 right now. But you talk about Vicky Golden. I'm okay with that. If she doesn't feel confident enough, if you miss, you're not going to go down to Daytona, and you're not going to go to Indy, and you're not going to go to Detroit, because you're going to pay big dividends if you get off there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's only her third Supercross. She's building. I mean, this stuff it's not easy. We know that.
It's a little tough, huh, Justin?
Yeah, it's really, really tough, and everything's so much steeper. I mean, you can practice as much as you want, but there's nothing like coming in here inside the stadium. It's just such a different feel.
Well, and the thing right there, we didn't see her do the triple, but I'm sure she can do it. She's done it, but there was a rider ahead of her rolling it. So at that point there, you have to roll it. You don't want to land on another rider out there.
You know, I tell you what, she's currently 8th out of 17 riders on the track. That's about the best effort we've seen from her in the last, you know, three attempts. So
hopefully that might get her in. I mean, they have 59 entries. You know, they take the 40 fastest. We'll see if that'll get her into her first, and if maybe she can make history here at the Duel in the Dome.
That'd be really cool. That'd be some cool history for sure.
Well, let's see what she does here. Yeah, she's still not, she's a ways away. I mean, she's about 15 feet short of that, landing on the downside there.
And that's where folks at home are probably thinking, why didn't she just jump it? But like you said, you needed help walking up it. I was scared to death the first time I jumped it, you know, years ago, and it's steep.
The first thing I said is if you come up short on this thing, you're going to be going over those Toyota Tough Blocks in a hurry.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Those people on the couch that are watching Race Day Live saying, why doesn't she just pull the trigger? I want to see them pull the trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a good view of it right there. You can see how steep not only the landing is, but the booter to kick you up and over that thing. It's a technical jump.
Yeah, it's actually smaller too, so you got to hit it faster than what you think.
And I'm sure that Vicky would pull the trigger if she had more run out, but right away, I mean, you got that left-hander and you're in sand.
Yeah, totally different. How about 2 sand sections tonight? That's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up.
In your career, do you remember a track having 2 sand sections?
I don't remember it having 2. You know, obviously we've had some with 1 or some pretty cool sand whoops and things like that, but never 2, and never when you have to set up for it that quick, like Jim's, you know, addressing it. And it goes all the way around the corner, basically to the next one. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, we were talking on the show earlier. Is Potter still leading this thing with a 101? Vicky Golden, she's still sitting in that 8th with a 108.0. Hopefully she can get maybe a 107 out of it. But the other thing too, and you're a current rider, but you know, back when I rode, you know, that front end starts pushing, you go to grab a handful of throttle, and then the rear wheel starts spinning. Yeah, there's no way you're going to save it. You're just going to go down. You got to hopefully keep the bike running and, you know, not make that mistake again.
And goggles tonight. You know, usually we don't have to worry about goggles too much in Supercross. Right. Tonight, 2 sand sections.
And wet dirt.
Yeah, wet dirt. It's going to be, you'll see a lot more tear-offs being pulled. And if I was racing, usually I run about 7 or 8 tear-offs.
That's what I was going to say,
I may put on 12, 15 tonight.
Well, not only that, it's when you get back to the hotel after too, you take that shower and you look, why am I all red on my butt here? You know, that sand gets down in there and it's like sandpaper on you.
You're digging out sand for a couple days in your hair. It's everywhere.
As long as it stays out of your throttle tube, you're pretty happy though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's that second section of sand we talked about there. And that's hard in itself because now you got to look over to the right and look at your mechanic and try to get the signboard. Sometimes, you know, you don't even look over that way because you're focused on what you're doing.
Yeah, and just when you think you have it figured out, oh man, I found a great line. You're there, the next lap, it's
not
totally
there.
gone.
Yeah. There's the same thing we talked about. Lost the front end a little bit there. Tried to grab a handful of throttle. That's 173 there, if I'm not mistaken. Johnson.
I tell you what, before they fixed that or you know, dressed it back up, that berm was about 3.5 feet tall. You remember the Buckley berm at Southwick?
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be some awesome photograph opportunities there in that thing after the bridge.
And it's crazy to think that, like you said, that was brand new.
Yeah.
Look at it now. And there's only been, what, these guys have done, what, 7 laps or so?
Right, the 250C group have already got it built back up pretty big.
Imagine the 450 main tonight. It's going to be pretty nasty.
It's going to be good.
Well, there's a guy that just skied over somebody.
Looks like Vicky just put a 107.1 down. That's pretty good. It didn't bump her up at all, but that's a pretty decent lap time.
Still sitting 8th, yeah.
She's only a couple seconds off. Yeah, the third fastest guy there. So, yeah, I was watching her while you guys were talking, and she actually jumped the triple that lap and got through the rhythm sections a little bit better. Like Jim says, though, I like her approach. I don't want to see her get hurt. I want to see her show up and try to make it at these events every weekend. Yeah. And like you said, Justin, build a base. Have something you can come and do this next year and be a little faster, a little safer, and be able to push a little harder.
Yeah, and I even think if she makes the night show at, say, Indianapolis in a couple weeks or the next weekend in Detroit, that's going to be a success, I would believe, in her book and everyone's book. It's going to make history.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, I think that's... She just stalled it in the corner there. She was, yeah, there she is on your screen. She actually has a throwback scheme on her bike right there. Looks like a 1992 RM 125. One of the cooler bikes of the 90s, I always thought.
Yeah, it's been neat to see all the throwbacks, and actually saw a picture of you from the Arena Cross days. That brought back some memories of me going to watch you guys. And
Des Moines.
Yeah, Des Moines, Iowa, usually the first round, but that definitely brought back some memories.
It's crazy. I think I won the jump contest with a no-hander lander.
Nice.
Now they do backflip to no-hander lander.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this 250C. That's the final time we'll see these guys out on there. And looks like Taylor Potter with that 101.9 going to hold up. And like we'd mentioned, Vicky Golden sitting in 8th with that 107.1. Maybe that might get her in. She's got to be the 40 fastest.
We'll find out here shortly, and we'll confirm if she got in or out. But absolutely, what a good effort. You know, she kept going after it, kept trying the rhythm sections, kept trying the big triples. You know, she's pushing her bike off now, but you know, best thing is she's pushing the bike off and she's safe.
That's right.
Right. You know, coming up, we got the big guys coming up, the 250A and the 450A practices. Justin, so far, you know, you saw Reed jump right to the top. Was you kind of surprised, or did you have a feeling after winning last week and he's got the fire lit?
Yeah, I think he's got the fire lit. I mean, there's so much confidence comes from doing well and let alone winning, you know, and he won that race just straight up last week. He was doing things on the track that no one else was doing.
Quadding out of the whoops.
Yeah, and you know, he had mentioned that he changed his bike the week before. I think he's truly found something in his setup, and today, first practice, jumping out front, that tells me he's very confident. He had a great week of practice, and he's ready to roll here tonight.
I think his success lit a fire under guys like Brock Tickle, Cole Seeley, you know, guys that have, in Weston Pike that have beaten him straight up this year. You know, and then they see that guy go out, get a hole shot, and win. You know what? There's only one Chad Reed, but you know, if you were racing right now, you would have beat him a couple times this year, I think, and had some 6th and 10th place finishes. Did it kind of get you more motivated seeing him win to get back out there?
Man, you know, Chad, he's interesting. It's just one weekend, yeah, get a 9th and kind of struggle a little bit. But like people have said all week, you can never count him out. I mean, through his whole career, you can never count him out. So here tonight, people are probably doubting him again, saying, you know, he can't go back-to-back. I wouldn't doubt it if he did it.
I wouldn't bet against him.
I wouldn't bet against him. But, you know, like we talked about the track, totally different type of layout. Last week, I believe it suited Chad Reed more with how technical. He's jumping the quad after the whoops. He's launching into the whoops, doing things people aren't doing. Tonight, everyone's doing the same thing. There's not very much to separate people except the whoops. Chad Reed's strong point. He's strong in the whoops. So we'll see what they do you know, as far as track prep before the night, see if they knock them down or anything. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be some tight racing regardless.
Yeah, we got the duel in the dome. It's going to, you know, look at the podium last weekend. You know, he's talking about giving up on Chad Reed. When Dungey got into second, I was like, he's done. There's no way. And then Reed clicked up even more speed and won that thing. But winning the duel in the dome is going to be consistent over both weekends.
Yeah.
So Chad Reed won the first one. Dungey's obviously going to be, you know, consistent. There's a stat that we've been talking about today. Honda hasn't won this event since 2008. Oddly enough,
Wow.
Millsaps won it. You know, Canard he got third last week, and he could win this thing tonight and win that trophy.
Yeah, Canard looked great in practice. And, you know, you mentioned Cole Seeley. I thought he was actually the fastest guy in the whoops. And he looked really, really good. And Tomac on a Honda,
he's flying.
Looked great. He's flying. You know, he's got to get a good start. And I think if he can get out front, it'd be hard to catch him.
Were you surprised last week, Tomac, when he went down? It was hard getting in there and a little bit much better, but bam, all of a sudden he's on the ground.
Yeah, you know, it's tough to say. And actually, I think it was last year or the year before, James Stewart, kind of in the same place, did the exact same thing.
And the right-hander there.
In the right-hander, and pushed the front end. It kind of caught, and you know, the dirt will just come up and bite you, and you just no warning at all, and just grab you. But he was just pushing, probably trying to make some passes and come through the pack, and that's racing.
Yeah, Justin, we were talking earlier when we were watching Tomac. He's so aggressive and pushes so hard and overjumps stuff. Every once in a while, his front end will just twitch a little bit, and you're like, whoa, you know, that could go from looking like something small to something big.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can vouch for that.
Yeah, for sure. It'll come up and bite you before you know it.
It's, you know, I think overall the traction's better this weekend. You know, they've got a lot more water in it. I haven't seen them put any more water down since this morning. But you know, looking at the track, Justin, where do you, if you're a pro racer, top 10, top 5 guy, where would you try to pass out there right now?
You know, we were talking about that earlier in the BTO truck, and I think for me, being my strong point in the whoops, I'm going to try to go down the right side of the whoops and stuff somebody before the finish. Other than that, like we talked about, everyone's kind of doing the same thing, so it's going to be tough to pass.
Yeah, I can see a little bit of JB10 in the whoops there.
Yeah.
For sure. And here we go, 250 Group B coming out here to qualify for the final time today. Try to get a good gate pick for their heat race, try to get into the night show. There's Jace Owen. Super impressed with him. A lot of speed.
Yeah, he definitely has some speed, and he looks confident today too. I think he's a little bummed after last week, not a great result. So he's coming out firing today. And I noticed Jordan Smith out there at the first Supercross.
Yeah.
You know, probably a lot of nerves going on with him, being everyone else is their third round. Him, and it's his first. You know, that's got to be a little bit difficult, but look for him to do good tonight.
And he's got a bad hand, you know. Of all the things to injure on yourself, you know, having a bad throttle hand.
Yeah, that's tough.
But
a lot of people say that, you know, like it's the throttle hand, but also it's that front brake too. I mean, you got to shut it off and grab that front brake, still hang on with that boxer's brake, you know, in that pinky and the finger next to it there. So
is that what he has? He has a
boxer's brake. Yeah, I talked to him a little bit in Arlington, and it still looked pretty bad then. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to miss Atlanta, but I'll be there in the second one." I go, "Really?"
More dirt bike racers, huh? We've all done it.
Yeah.
Oh, down he goes.
So you can't see a number on that. Looks like
519.
519 there.
It's Joshua Cartwright from Tallahassee, Florida. Florida guy ought to be doing better in the sand there.
Yeah, he should know the Florida. Come on.
It's all right. He's doing his best. He's back up and going.
Talk a little bit about this, Justin, like when you go down like that, you see him trying to shake the sand out of his glove. He's still trying to shake the sand out of his glove.
Yeah, if you could say the worst place to go down, that's probably the worst spot today with how deep the sand is. And you know,
he's trying to get it all off the handlebar. I think he needs to pull the mechanics area real quick and have the guy wipe his
kind of reset his mind a little bit and get back after it.
Well, he's reset now, maybe.
Another view of that under and over bridge and how technical that is. And hey, it's about 70 feet, man. It's a little bit of a booter.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun jump. Looks fun.
Very small room for error. You overjump it, you're into the tough blocks. You underjump it, you're into the tough blocks.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a really interesting part of this track. There we go. You know, this is Gaines. Showed a lot of speed so far. I don't know how much you've been able to watch him, but me and Jim were talking about him earlier. Nick Gaines. He gets around the track impressively well.
Yeah, he does, and you know, going back to the first round, I think we talked about it last week. He had the LCQ1 and crashed, and I'm not sure exactly how he did last week, but he looked great in practice. And yeah, I think probably just some nerves. You guys know how it is, first couple races, and I think he'll be good tonight.
Yeah, he had a 17th last week. Not a bad showing, but
good to get in the main. Probably.
Yeah, I mean it's one step at a time. He got it in the main. Now here, hey, let's try to break into that top 15, top 12 possibly.
Yeah, and that first 15 laps that you do is not like the 15 laps that you've been practicing at home. So, you know, he'll probably get up there a little bit closer to the top 10 tonight.
And with about 7 minutes to go, your top 5 is Jay Sowen, followed by Nate Gaines, followed by Vonlinger, and then Desiderio and Carno. Those are your top 5?
And that was actually Nick's first main event last weekend of 2015. So,
yeah. No, he's got a lot of speed. You know, me and Jim actually saw some similarities with Chris Aldridge on the West Coast. A lot of speed, a little bit wild.
Yeah, Aldridge was
maybe a lot wild.
Some laps it was like, man, he looks really good. Other laps it was pretty sketchy, but hey, that's part of, you know, being your first year. You gotta learn.
Well, and you look at a kid like Aldridge out on the West Coast, you see a lap like that and you think, well, I'd like to try to ride, and then you see him on those other laps, you go, oh, I don't want to get on that bike.
Exactly. It's so funny when people come and watch, you know, say that the 450A group and they blitz across the whoops, and then, you know, you watch some other guys, it's like, man, it looks like a totally different track, and that's just how good the guys are. And, you know, these guys are the very best, probably in their region. The very, very best guys.
You go to their local track and they're killing it.
Yeah, they wax everyone, so they're no slouches.
Well, the guys doing it out there, Owens, Gaines, Zimmer, Vonlinger, and Preston Mull. It's good to see Preston Mull back out there.
I'd love to see Jay Sowen get a good start. Actually, Atlanta last year, the whole shot at the heat race and led for a while and ended up crashing. I hope he gets a good start tonight, because I think, man, he's got so much talent. He looks so good on the bike. I think a start will really breathe some confidence into him and hopefully carry that into the main event.
Let me ask you this, Justin. We saw 2 different starts. Last weekend, a long starting line. This weekend, they're going across the other way, a short. What do you prefer? You like the long ones, or you like the short ones where you just start in second gear and you can run it in there, maybe you hit third, but or do you like those ones where you shift into fourth?
You know, I don't know if I prefer one or the other. The longer one's kind of neat because typically you see less crashes because you get separated out, you know, down the straightaway. The short ones, like Andy mentioned, I'm used to those from arena cross all those years. So as long as you get a good gate pick, this is where this matters. You got to get a good time to get a good gate pick, and I think that just transfers over throughout the night. If you don't have a good gate pick on a short start, it's going to be tough to get a good jump and to get to the first turn first.
I agree, Justin. Ryan Zimmer right now in your screen is on a heater. He's got the hammer down. He looks pretty good. You know, corner's okay there. Maybe labored a little bit, lost the front tire, got some lappers.
He's got the skins on too. Remember the skins back in the old days?
I was just getting ready to say, what's going on with this throwback bike there?
Yeah, that's John Slayton put that together, and that's his company, and that's the Blue Buffalo Yamaha ride there. Blue Buffalo coming on board, sponsoring him, so they're doing a good job. I think, you know, they were talking about, hey, you can clearly see that Blue Buffalo on there, and he says, you know, there's no problem with cooling or any of that stuff. We got plenty of vents in this thing, and he's hauling. Where's he at now? Fourth still.
Still fourth, yeah. Well, you know, like he had some lappers there that got in his way, but Zimmer's riding good. It's going to be good battles in the heat races tonight.
He's still looking to try to get into that main event, Zimmer. He's had some problems in Arlington in that first Atlanta last weekend, but we'll see if Zimmer can get that thing into the main event tonight.
Looks like Jordan Smith hasn't really laid one down yet. He's a 102.8. He's definitely better than that. Look for him to get up there and throw one down here soon.
Yeah, him and Kyle Cunningham. We've still got 3 minutes to go, so I would definitely, like you said, Justin, I'd look for both of those guys to throw down a good lap.
Cunningham, man, I'm surprised he's out here. He took a big lick at the first round, and you know, it looks like he might be out for the season. I didn't see. I just saw him laying there. So, you know, it's funny crashes like that. I'd just rather not see anymore.
I missed it too. You know, I was like, whatever happened?
Oh, it looks like Smith is down.
Got Jordan Smith.
I think he's missing a visor too.
Yeah. At least he's up. He's okay. Hopefully his hand's good. He didn't re-injure that hand. That's the thing about it. You know, I'm sure you dealt with it in your career. I know I dealt with it, but coming back too soon, you're really not holding on right. You know, you're kind of worried about that hand, and you do something else. You know, it causes you to crash again. You know,
Yeah, you're totally right. And I'm actually dealing with it right now. You know, I'm actually going to start riding on Monday, which I'm really excited about. But, you know, when do you come back? When do you start feeling good? And it's kind of you just never know till you get there. And but definitely don't want to come back to it. I've done it in my career where I've been on the bike a couple days and said, I feel good, I'm going to go race, and it's a little bit too early.
We can't wait to see you back out there, Justin. You know, I know you're stoked to be on the team, BTOsports.com, factory edition, KTM. You know, you've been a factory rider for a long time, and there's been a lot of hype about that bike. So we know you're chomping at the bit to get back going. Yeah, the bike looks so good, and I can't take my eye off of Dungey or Short in practice because I just want to see how the bike's reacting and see what it's doing, and it looks so good. I can't wait to get out there. The first thing I did was sit on my bike this morning when I got here. You know, it's funny. You know, all the years I've done it, you still just get so excited to be at the races. Talk to us about what they're doing, Andrew Short and Dungey. What is that bike doing better than it didn't, you know, than previously it didn't do? You know, obviously the whoops, but to me it looks like it can hold the inside line better than any bike out there right now. Well, it's just so much lighter. I mean, to take 10 pounds off of just the difference of 1 year, that's huge. I mean, you guys know that. To drop 10 pounds on any bike is just crazy, and for those guys to be able to do that, it's unbelievable, and so it's just so much lighter, and I call it kind of flickable, where you can just throw it around and put it wherever you want it. It's a good feeling.
It's hard for me and Andy to lose 10 pounds on our body.
I know. That's why we wear these black shirts. They're slimming. Yeah. But no, that's cool. You know, good insight there, Justin. There's our boy from Florida there. He's back up out of the sand, back going. Number 519, Joshua Cartwright. He is. Where's he at up here on our board? At the bottom. Yeah, 105.7. He's still got to get a good lap in. He's probably got a little bit of sand in his clutch perch.
It's like Cunningham threw a good one down with a 58.3.
He kind of waits till the end to do it. I noticed, you know, some guys like to get out there right away. Cunningham's more the guy. We saw it happen in that first qualifying session. He was way down, and then the minute I said that, it was kind of towards the end. Hey, where's he at? Boom, he jumps up into third now.
Yeah, probably just checking out some lines, and you know, like I spoke about last week, just opening up your body. You know, you can. It's cold outside here in Atlanta, and you got to get the body warm and get it going, and you know, once it gets warm, he's throwing down.
Yeah, he's a veteran. You know, he's not in a big hurry to get out there and get going. You know, it's nothing to prove. He knows he's one. You know, he's a top 10 guy. Kyle Cunningham's been around for a long time.
Yeah, Gaines just took a little bit of different line there. He went single over the table. I wonder if that'll come into play tonight. If you go single over the table, triple, and then maybe single to the inside, cut off some track and make the track a little bit shorter.
I like when they try that. You know, it's over. Hey, I waited until last. It's not me. I want to try something because, like you said, if you get in the back of the pack, it might work. As we're seeing the lap times for Owens and Gaines and Cunningham right there, Stewart.
That's right. Checker flags out. It's Jay Sowen, Nick Gaines, Kyle Cunningham, Bryce Stewart, and Vonlinger. Let's see where he's from and get some background on him real quick. He's done pretty well today. Been on the board quite a bit. He's from Kentucky, Stanford, Kentucky. He lists Honda of Richmond, TZR, and VBMX as sponsors.
There you go.
Wow. Top 5 in the B qualifying. So
I like that nice shot there. A lot of fans all around the stadium kind of checking out different parts. And, you know, I'll watch fans. They'll sit in one section. They'll move around to another section. Because once you get here on the night program, someone's going to be in those seats, and they want to see every, you know, part of the track. And then you get that opportunity when you come here early and you get a chance to watch Supercross.
That's right. The Duel of the Domes going down tonight. You know, Jim Hawley, Andy Boyer, Justin Brayton. We have the A qualifying coming up. We're going to see who gets the #1 gate pick, who's going to be the fastest. Earlier on today, Tomac was the fastest, and then in the 250 class, we had Oldenburg, and then DeValis was fast.
But at the end, though, it was Jeremy Martin with a 55.1, right behind him a 55.4, Marvin Muskin there, and then Martin Davalos with a 55.7. So we'll see if they can, you know, maybe take those times down just a little bit.
You know who I was really impressed with Oldenburg.
Yeah.
I know he had a pretty big crash, so I'm not sure if he's going to be back, but I was super impressed with him. I mean, he looked like a totally different guy that both practices, you know, until he crashed. So hopefully he's okay. He took a big spill, but
yeah, I think he's all right. We saw him kind of walking around a little bit and stuff, so I think he'll be out here.
It's amazing what some confidence will do, huh? If you just come out first and start throwing down.
Yeah.
I like these photos. A lot of people. I know Hope Stillmark, Hope Stillmark listening in, and she's actually been a runner for us at the Monster Energy Cup. You know, she's from Northern Nevada, but she's living over in the San Francisco. She said, we'll see you in Santa Clara. I said, we'll be there.
We will be there. And thank you, all you folks at home, for tuning in. All you international viewers, thank you for watching the show. Send us some pictures. Tweet your picture to Supercross Live, Race Day Live, Supercross on Fox. Once again, tonight's show is going to be on Fox Sports 2 at 7 p.m. Duel in the Dome. It's going to be awesome. We've got a great throwback theme, a great throwback track. We've got riders and graphics and gear all going back to the 90s. It's going to be good. I mean, we've got our top qualifiers coming up right now. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch this one. This one's always fun. You know, guys battling up front, and you know, it just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. You keep pushing. You know, one lap you might throw down and you go to the top of the board and you kind of take a deep breath. Oh, yes, I'm at the top. The next time you go around, the next time you look at the board, you might be off of it. And you're like, darn.
How'd that happen?
You know, so it's definitely competitive.
And the worst thing about that is you're thinking about when you're out there and you do that fast lap, like, oh, man, that's going to be in the.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm not on the board?
And especially if that's your best lap, if you know that you threw down a really good one, it's kind of demoralizing to not be on the board.
Check out this graphic, Justin, and remember that race we had last weekend. You know, 4 guys, 4 rider freight train. It was awesome to watch, huh?
That was really, really fun to watch. And honestly, you didn't know who was going to win it. You thought Davalos might win it. He was kind of running away. And then Bogle's in the mix. And then Martin was sneaking up there. And
just came
Musk
alive.
Was there. It was awesome race to watch.
And I think tonight's going to even be better. I mean, you look at Marvin Muskin there with 47 points, 4 behind him, Jeremy Martin, and 5 behind Muskin is Bogle, and then 11 out, Joey Savacci. So I think it's even going to get better. And then you look at a guy like Martin Davalos. I think he thinks that you know, Atlanta owes him one for last week.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know, he grew up, or not grew up, but he stayed in this area a lot. So he's probably got some family, you know, here tonight. And he might have had that one last week, but redemption for the Duel in the Dome tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And you know what I like seeing there? Those are the 5 powerhouse teams. Husqvarna, Pro Circuit, you know, Geico, Yamaha, KTM, and they all have a chance to win this championship still. It's still anybody's ball game.
Well, and the other thing, too, with KTM has not won here in Atlanta in a 250, or Husky. Yeah. So we could possibly see one of those guys. I know Husky with Travis Preston won in Houston back in the early 2000s.
I got Freezy jumping out there, and Davalos, you know, Davalos jumped out first, and right when we came into the picture there, he was all the way sideways. He saved it, though. He does that every once in a while, huh, Justin?
Yeah, he always likes to take off early, which I'm a fan of. I think just get out front, get a clear track, and, you know, you're here to race, so why not bring the intensity right away? You look at, you know, he just tried doing that single over table, and maybe we'll see him go triple after that. That'd be a cool line to try.
Yeah, but something he didn't do that triple there. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that's critical to make that one.
That's a technical section also. You're landing hard flat off that first triple, and you saw his front tire just twitch a little bit. You know, he had to get out of the gas.
Yeah, usually it's kind of backwards from that. Usually you jump from a little one to a big one with a long landing, have a lot of speed into the triple. But now tonight you have a big takeoff with a small landing, which your suspension compresses. It might bottom out, which kind of messes you up before the triple.
Vince Freeze is on a heater right now.
Yeah, that was a
Let's
good
see what he does. He was a little hesitant in the whoops, but we'll see how he comes out in this lap. There he goes, that double there. Make that right-hander. Step on, step off.
I'm telling you, if he keeps this lap going, this is going to be a great lap.
Marvin Muskin there in the sand.
He's on it too.
He's on a heater. Yeah, they're going for it early in this one.
It still blows me away. You know, I will watch you guys jump all day long, but seeing you guys, the top, you know, upper echelon of the sport, hit those corners like that, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and especially here tonight with all this grip, you have all, you know, you guys see the ruts, and it's great for traction.
You know, something interesting, you saw Vince Freeze go around there. He actually shifted twice before the whoops. Coming out of that corner, he might have been in second. He hit third right away, and then he hit fourth. And he's trying different things. He's not quite getting up on top of those whoops.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy is back in the day, actually in Arena Cross, Denny Stevenson told me to hit the whoops in 4th gear. I was hitting them in 2nd. Like, there's no way I'm going to hit those things in 4th gear, but you have to. You know, folks at home think that, think we hit them in 2nd. We actually hit them in 4th, sometimes even 5th when we have that gear. And the drier they get, the less traction you have, so you keep shifting up. And sometimes I've told the guys, man, if I had 6 gears, I'd use all 6 of them through the whoops, especially when we get to Vegas and tracks like that.
because that keeps the wheel spin down, right? And those, you know, your 450 still has enough power to pull you over him, but you don't want it squirreling out, correct?
Yeah, exactly. When you're in second gear, your RPMs are so high, which in turn, the wheel spin is so fast, you have no traction moving forward. So the higher gear you can get, the more you lug it in the whoops, the better.
Well, the other flip side of that is if you're already wound tight and that bike starts dancing, you have no throttle. You're already wide open at that point. So, you know, it's also, if you start dancing in the whoops, you can pull yourself out of it.
But to also shift up into fourth, it takes an awful lot of commitment. So if you're going to shift up to fourth and go into the whoops, you got to commit.
So Denny taught you that, huh? I don't know. Denny told me to do a lot of things. I never really listened.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I actually listened. He was pretty good in the whoops back in the day, so I had to listen to about that.
Back in 1990 here, Denny Stevenson got his first win in the 250 class here in Atlanta.
Nice.
Denny does a good job. You know, it's cool to see him starting to involve himself with some written works and stuff. And great guy. And you're right, he was fast in the whoops.
Yeah.
You know, if you go have a beer with Denny, he'll still tell you for 3 laps he's faster than anybody.
Yeah. And you know, you mentioned earlier about you mentioned 3 guys in Supercross: Buddy Antunez, Denny Stevenson, Chad Pedersen. You know, Chad Pedersen grew up in Fort Dodge, Iowa, which is where I'm from, and he was, you know, my idol growing up. I'd go watch him when he was number 315 on a Yamaha way back in the day, and you know, and those 3 guys had a huge impact on my arena cross career. Budman kind of took me under his wing. Denny being from Omaha, right next to Iowa, so I really have a lot of respect for all those guys.
And you talk about Chad Pedersen. After that, my career was kind of winding down to the end, and I was running those Mickey Thompson series, and Clark Jones had the no-lean Yamaha team, and he was a teammate of mine. And I remember he was a little guy, but he was fast.
Yeah,
that's
he
for
was
sure.
really fast.
I tell you what, guys, in our screen right now is somebody that is riding very fast. He is over a full second faster than the field right now. Muskin had an off weekend, if you can call it that, last weekend with the 2nd place. He's really on form. He's riding unbelievably well right now.
Well, but I think he can get even faster with that 55.3. The fast time, Martin had a 55.1. So we'll see if they can knock a couple tenths off of that.
You know, I've been big and kind of preaching lately about, you know, practice goes into the heat race and heat race into the main event. And, you know, Marvin had a great practice last week, but the heat race, you know, he ended up going down.
Right.
I think that affected his main event a little bit with the bad gate pick. So I think for him to get out of there with a 2nd last week was positive, and he was happy about it. So look forward to him, you know, tonight to maybe winning a heat race, and that just breeds success for the main event.
AJ Catanzaro there.
He got into a 450 main event on the West Coast.
Yeah, he was riding good.
At Phoenix, I believe. Yeah, that was it. No, it's funny, like you mentioned that, Justin, you know, it upsets your momentum. You know, and if you can get a 2nd place on your off weekend, that's a pretty much a success.
It's pretty good, especially with the race that those guys were in. You know, and at one point it looked like he might win the main event. So he's riding good, and I still think he's the favorite tonight.
In your top 5 with little under 5 minutes to go, Marvin Muskin, Justin Bogle's 2nd, Matthew Lemoyne's 3rd, Davalos is 4th, Joey Savatgy's your 5th fastest.
Marvin over a 2nd faster. That's pretty solid.
And Jeremy Martin's on a flyer right now. He's
73. I'm looking at right now. That's Gannon Audette, and look what we got behind us. Number 73.
Legends and heroes, brother.
That's pretty cool. I didn't just realize that they put Gannon Audette's number. I know that Alex Moros and the guys at Legends and Heroes helping out Gannon Audette, and last weekend for Gannon Audette, not the best ride, but he got a 12th. I know that he's trying to get into that top 10. He's sitting right now 12th in the points also, so we'll see if Gannon Audette can get in that top 10 here tonight.
You know, I just noticed actually Oldenburg is not out there, so unfortunately either he's maybe just going to miss his practice and rest up for tonight, which could be, or he might have a injury that's going to hold him out for tonight.
Just had Joey Savatgy jump up into the 3rd position. He may or may not have a hand injury of himself. You know, we asked him about it, didn't get much of an answer, but you know how it goes with you guys sometimes. You keep that stuff pretty close to the chest.
Yeah, you try and keep it close, and you know, not sure why. It's kind of, I think we should kind of let the press know a little bit more, and I've been guilty of that. You know, you hold it in, you kind of makes you feel a little tougher.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, there's really nothing to hide. If you're injured, this is the roughest sport in the world. You're injured.
That's right.
Nobody's going to say, oh, man, you know, what a wuss. You didn't race with a broken hand.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you seeing there, Justin?
Well, it looks like Bogle got into the 55s, and then Marvin just upped his lap time with the 55.1, which matches Martin's best in the first practice.
Jim called it.
The only unfortunate thing is, excuse me, it's a 55.125. I just put a 55.1, so I'm not sure who's got the fastest now.
Splitting hairs with the thousandths of a second there, but it's going to be competitive. Musquin, Bogle looks like he has a little bit of fire tonight. It's good to see him battling back and forth with the 25 of Musquin for superiority here in Group A practice, qualifying number 2.
And the difference between a 55.1 and even a 55.6 between Musquin and Bogle could be just the sand.
Yeah.
You come around, the sand's just
One
perfect.
corner.
It has that great turn in it, and the next lap you come around and it's completely blown out, and that could be the difference of even half a second, sometimes even a second. So kind of just depends what lap you decide to throw a lap down. Savacci's looking good today. I think he's going to get up there tonight and redeem himself from last weekend.
Well, and he had that podium, to start out the season in Arlington, the first of his career. So, yeah, with last weekend, he was a little bit disappointed not up on that podium. And, not in that fight with those 4 or 5 guys that we had out there. Good line in the whoops there for Savacci.
Yeah, I think sometimes just to be in the fight, that's been my goals. Last year, I just wanted to be in the fight. I wanted a chance to win the race. And, nights when you're not up there and you don't have a chance and you have that gap between either 5th and 6th or something like that, you're just a little bit disappointed. But, if he was to get a 4th last weekend and he was in the fight, I think he would be happy with that. But so tonight, get a good start, get in that fight, have a chance to win.
Well, let's see what Martin does here. You got about a minute left on this final A practice here in the 250 class. Let's see if he can jump up another spot.
Threw it out, threw that lap away. Just a little under a minute to go here. Still Marvin Musquin, Justin Bogle, Jeremy Martin, Joey Savacci, and Matthew Lemoyne. That's your top 5. All the way through your top 10. 6th is Martin DeBalos, then R.J. Hampshire, Vince Friese's 8th, Arnaud Tonis, there's no D on the end there, and Jimmy Dakotas wrapping out the top 10. Dakotas was in the top 7 or 8 in the first practice. Good to see him showing some speed.
Yeah, Colt Nichols looks like he's in 15th right now. Last week, he was 6th fastest, didn't make the main. So hopefully it's opposite this year. Maybe he's not quite as fast in practice and has a good night, gets in that main event, has a solid ride.
And folks, want to thank our sponsors and remind you AMSOIL is the official oil of the Red Linz, AMSOIL Arena Cross, and Monster Energy Supercross. It's not only the official oil, AMSOIL products have been tested in the most extreme conditions at the track and on the trail to ensure they are formulated for superior dirt bike performance. Get out front performance, get AMSOIL. DC Shoes is proud to be the official footwear sponsor of AMA Supercross. Defy convention with DC Shoes. And Justin, the checker flag is out in Musquin, 55.1. He's a half a second faster than Bogle. Bogle's a half a second faster than Martin. He's 2/10 faster than Savacci and Lemoyne. The gaps there are pretty consistent.
Yeah, and I think for Marvin, like I said earlier, he goes back to the truck. He's half a second faster.
Feeling good.
You're feeling confident. You're taking off your gear. You're getting in your street clothes, and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good today. And like I said, that just makes it, breeds confidence for the heat race. You get first gate pick, go wherever you want, and I think it's going to be a good night for Marvin.
I think we're going to hear from Ashley Phillips down there with Marvin. There we go.
And he will be taking in the fastest time in the pole position into tonight. How about this guy, Red Bull KTM rider number 25, Marvin Musquin. Marvin, congratulations, some blistering fast speeds out there. Tell me a little bit about the track.
Well, track's really changing, and it's a lot different than we were used to seeing Dallas and Atlanta one, so I like it a lot. It's really technical, and obviously my bike is working pretty good, and I feel like I've given up a little bit in the whoops, but other than that, I'm having a lot of fun. And
told him that a couple times, like, man, you look great out there. I think he's riding really good.
Making the most of that opportunity. Yeah, it's really good.
He's probably thinking, hey, Justin, you sure, Varsity, you want to come back? Maybe you better take another weekend off.
Tomac's on a good one right now. He just hit the whoops good. And
see where it puts him.
Gab that front end a little bit right up to the top.
53.7. That's a very good lap.
Almost a full second faster than Canard's early time. And with about 5 minutes to go, folks, it's Tomac, Canard, Dungey, Millsaps, and Jason Anderson.
You look at that lap that Tomac had, a 53.7. The first one, a 53.4 for Dungey.
And I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jim, but who was you saying? Somebody just caught your eye right there with a really good lap. Brock Tickle.
Yeah, Tickle. Sitting
54.9.
fourth. Yeah, sitting fourth. And there's Seeley now. Seeley moved it up. He must have been listening to me at 55.0 for him.
You got some radio communication down at this.
Yeah, I got him in the headset there. Actually, his manager, Secrets.
I tell you what,
your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah.
Seeley?
Yeah.
Tickle's story, Justin, has to inspire you a little bit. You know, I talked to him. We did an interview this morning. And I was like, how did you be injured that long and then come back and be faster? I know you guys race stopwatches. I go, didn't you surprise yourself when you got back on the bike and all of a sudden you're faster? He's riding faster than he ever has.
Yeah, he's riding really good. Between Tickle and Baggy, I would say they're the two most impressive guys that you didn't really expect what they're doing out of them. And I think Brock's got to be really proud of himself to for one, even come back. Yeah. Let alone come back and do what he's doing.
Well, it just goes to show when you come back how fast you're going to be. You know,
that's right. That's what I'm
right
hoping.
back there in the top 10, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Dungey now up to second with that 54.3 there.
You know, when you were younger, especially growing up in Iowa, you know, obviously I couldn't ride much during the winter, and I felt like every time I rode, it seemed like I was just so hungry and just chomping at the bit to ride that I would come back faster, or I'd get injured, you know, and come back. And I always felt like I was just so hungry to ride, just that extra enthusiasm, you know, brought back a little more aggression. Yeah. And even just watching, you know, I've tried to make the most of my injuries and watch the races a lot, come here, hang out with you guys, and just watch and learn, you know, and I think I can pick up on what some guys are doing. And looks like Andrew's back out there he's feeling a little sick today, so glad to see him back out there putting some laps in.
Was he contemplating maybe sitting out this practice?
Yeah, when I came up here, there was definitely a thought. You know, he was thinking about it, but sounds like he might have got some rest and back out there feeling good.
Well, we're getting down to it, folks. About a little over a minute to go. It's Tomac, Dungey, Canard, Tickle, and Seeley, your top 5.
You know, talk a little bit about Justin after this. What do you guys do? I mean, I know the autograph signing's over. You try to get something to eat. Some of the guys take a little bit of a nap before the heat races.
Yeah, you know, between all these practices, typically you're signing autographs and you're hanging out with the fans and you're making some tweaks on your bike. But after the last practice, I always kind of like to just kind of be by myself or be by my close team members or close family and just kind of relax. It's kind of quiet time, I guess you could say, and get the mind right, just relax a little bit, get some food in you, hydrate a little bit, and get ready to get some aggression and throw down tonight.
Yeah, well, once you get done with that, though, to get warmed up, you get on a stationary bicycle and start, hey, all right, I got to pick it back up again. It's go time now. Heat race is coming up.
Yep, exactly. There's always a certain time, we have to go down for opening ceremony, so I've got a routine every week that I do and jump on my Concept 2 rower and, hit a little bit of a warm-up before I go down for opening ceremonies. And, yeah, it's definitely, you kind of get into a habit of doing certain things, and I've kind of been a creature of habit my career where I'm getting better now. If a wrench gets thrown in my program, just kind of roll with it and always look forward to having a good main event.
Absolutely. There's Josh Hill and his throwback Yamaha. And motocross fans, if you're looking for class-leading 450 power with 250 style handling, check out the incredibly quick and nimble Yamaha YZ 450F. Check it out at YamahaMotorsports.com or your local Yamaha dealer. And Hill's looking good. We were talking, me and Jim were talking earlier, and it seems like getting that ride with Cycle Trader Rock River Yamaha has kind of put a little pep in his step there with Hill.
Yeah, I think so. And, you don't really know what you're missing, or you don't really know what you had until you lose it, right? So, he lost his ride, which I don't think, he had a good year last year. He had a podium in New Jersey, and, to get this, I think he's going to make the most of this opportunity.
Number 3 of Eli Tomac, and man, talk about some fast speed and qualifying, trying to make up last week. Not your weekend, but man, it's a new day and a new way to get it done today.
Yeah, I need to turn something around. I've crashed 3 races in a row, so that's nothing to race for once. Best thing I can do is go out here and try to get another podium.
Now, how does it help a racer with this track being retro 1990, a lot of shorter distance between turns, a couple sand section, makes it could be difficult?
Yeah, honestly, it's one of my favorite tracks of the year so far, just because there's so much different stuff in it. You have the dragging back, you have the sand section, you have the little over-under action. I think it's a good track, and the lap times are, somewhat high, so it's going to be a good 20 laps.
Let's talk about, obviously, gate pick for you going to be fantastic, being the fastest qualifier. But, man, the short start, that's almost what you need to even have a chance of getting the whole shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Gate pick's key, so that's why you see all of us out here trying to throw down those fast laps. that's why we do one lap as hard as we can. So that's what we're going for.
Well, you got it done today. Let's give it up for the number 3 on the Geico Honda. It's Eli Tomac.
Yeah, and there he was, Eli Tomac. It's been since 2008 since Honda's won this thing. Between him and Canard, I know that both of them got a good chance.
Yeah, I mean, they were both fastest, except for Dungey in that first one with that 53.4 and a 53.7. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know.
Well, they need wins. They need to get wins really bad. We're going to talk about that. You know, Dungey's getting away. The Honda guys haven't won in a while. Tomac obviously need wins, and Canard can get. He's in second place in the points now. He can start inching his way towards the championship with some wins.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, you know, all 3 Honda guys on the board again with Seeley in 5th. So they all have a great chance tonight. And you know, it's hard to bet against Dungey. He's so solid. The bike looks good, and yeah, it's going to be tough to catch him, I think.
But we'll get to that in just a little bit when we're going to do our picks, the 3 of us together here. But right now we have a couple more words from our sponsors, so stay tuned. All right, welcome back to the Georgia Dome. Want to remind you folks, DC Shoes is proud to be the official footwear sponsor of AMA Supercross. Defy convention with DC Shoes. And we've come to my favorite part of the show. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty here. And
it's your favorite?
Yeah, I like it because
I always stress out. I start sweating. I start worrying about my picks and things like that.
Yeah.
I go, I don't know, man.
Well, let's put the heat on Justin here this time and have him go first.
Uh-oh. What are we picking, top 3?
250. Top 3. Yeah,
250, top 3. I'm going to go with Marvin for the win. Jeremy Martin second. And I'm going to throw up Davalos third. I think he's going to have a good night.
Pretty good picks there. You know, that's solid. It's tough with them. There's 6 or 7 guys that can get on there, but
yeah, it's so tough. Even the 450 class 2.
I'll back you up there.
So tough to pick.
Go ahead with your 450s, bro.
450. Oh man, that's tough to pick. I'm gonna go Canard with the win, like you're kind of saying. I like Trey tonight. I think he's gonna get a good start and get out front. Dungey second. It's hard to not have him on the podium. I think he's gonna have a great night. And Cole Seeley third.
Oh, wow.
I think Seeley's going to get up there and
first podium of the year.
Couple Hondas.
Pretty solid picks right there.
He
got a second.
Seeley had a second earlier in Anaheim.
Yeah.
I think in the 250 for me, I think I'm going to go with Marvin Muskin there, and I think second is going to be Bogle, and I think Martin's going to get third, you know, but I think that Davalos could slip in there. A little update on Vicky Golden, 51 as far as her qualifying,
closer,
51 fastest, so a little bit closer. She's got a little work to do. Yep, exactly. And then on the 450 side of things, I think I'm going to go with Tomac.
Oh boy,
I think it's Tomac's time. As I forgot to hit my cough button. But Tomac, I think he's going to do it. I think in second place, I think I'm going to go with Canard. I think Honda won 2 tonight.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to go with Dungey in that third to make the podium there.
Again, pretty good solid picks right there.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, a lot of similarity I see with my picks. You know, I'm going to go with the 25 in the 250 class to win. Muskin looks unbelievable tonight.
Yeah.
He looks maybe better than he did in Arlington, so I'm going to go with him with the win. I think Jeremy Martin's going to be second, and I think Joey Savachi's going to be third.
That's a good one.
So I'm going to put the 37 in the podium there. Over in the 450, Trey Canard. I think tonight he does it again.
I think so.
It's going to be the first 3-time winner of this series. It's going to make Honda the first time they've won since 2008.
Right.
I think Trey's going to get it done. He's going to put a dent in Dungey's points lead.
Well, and I got a Mark Murphy, a guy I used to race with. Mark Murphy, he was a factory Yamaha rider. He's going to agree with you. He's going with Canard, Dungey, and Tomac.
Well, I'm doing Canard, Dungey. You know, I don't know how far to keep Dungey away from the lead. He's not going to get very far away. Ryan Dungey, we call him the Diesel. I don't know if he likes it. We say that every week, but I'm going to call him the Diesel because he keeps trucking on. He keeps stays steady, stays after it, and rounding out my podium, Chad Reed. You know, it's not going to surprise me very much if he goes back-to-back. He's pumped up. He looks good out there. It's a technical track. It's tight. And it has big whoops. Chad Reed could do better than third place. He could win this thing.
Well, and you know who else is going with that? Kurt Benke. He's going to go with Chad Reed back-to-back wins. I mean, he absolutely is putting the 2-2 Motorsports up top. I know Ryan Blaney. He's probably hoping 2-2 can go back-to-back here. You know, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we'll see. But it's going to take a good start. And the guy who makes the least amount of mistakes, you're going to have mistakes on this course. It's how the guy rebounds from his mistakes and can handle that. I think is going to win this thing.
Yeah, and with the sand tonight, I think that comes into play for the start. You know, if you start 10th, you're getting roosted in the sand lap after lap after lap. So, and that takes a toll on you. You know, if you're lap 10 and you've ate a bunch of sand, you may not keep having that aggression to go forward. So I think the start for sure is going to be very, very crucial.
Well, see, now I got to disagree with you, because when I rode in sand, man, it got roosted me, sand hitting me in the face. I was pissed off, man. I'm going to go ram that guy out of my way and get up to the front, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we hope you folks have enjoyed the show today, as we got a great race coming up tonight on Fox Sports 2 at 7 p.m. It's the Duel in the Dome. Who's going to win this thing? You just heard our picks. You know, we want to thank all of our guests for coming on. MMI's Mark Harson, Barrett Salih from the Bleacher Report. Really cool to talk to him. Yep. This will be Supercross Atlanta, Supercross number 21 for him. Also want to thank Atlanta Myers. It was really cool to have her on the show today. Of course, Justin Brayton for coming on with us.
Thank you, guys.
We also had Ryan Blaney. It's a great show. This is so much fun doing it. That's why we wanted to have Justin come back, because he's so much fun to be with us. Does a good job. Jim Holly, you're a legend. We did it again.
Hey, I have a good time. We're looking forward to the weekend off. We don't go down to Daytona, but we'll see all the fans and tune in Indianapolis. It'll be a good one.
It's going to be a good one here tonight, folks. The crowd's starting to pour in. It's the Duel in the Dome, round 9 in Atlanta. Tune in tonight, Fox Sports 2.